as both managers Felipe Alou, Joe Torre, and the umpires exchange the lineup cards behind home plate. It's the Yankees and the Montreal Expos for the very first time here at Olympic Stadium, and there are some funky ground rules to go over. That's for sure. You've got speakers that come into play. You see up there on the above the left field wall, the first 6 speakers are in fair territory. You hit one there, it's a home run. Beyond that, then you start dealing with foul territory. And now the Montreal Expos take the field. The foul pole is actually made of cloth. It can actually move back and forth in the wind.
And actually, it's been extended to the roof. If you look up a little higher, and there's a good reason for that. A couple of years ago, Darryl Strawberry hit a ball up there. So they had to draw a line. When he hit it up there, they didn't know what to call it. They figured he hit it far enough, they gave him a home run. Then the next year, they extended a line up there so you could actually see if the ball goes to the left or right of that line, whether it's fair or foul. But Straw hit that ball so far, they didn't know what to call it.
Built in 1976, this was the site of the 1976 Summer Olympic Games. And as we talk about the umpires, today's umpiring lineup is brought to you by NAM, the National Arbitration and Mediation People, the most timely, cost-effective way to settle your legal disputes. Jerry Meals will be behind the plate. This is a National League crew featuring Terry Tata at first, Jerry Davis at second, and C.B. Buckner at third. What changes will the Yankees experience with the National League crew?
Well, I think you expect more low strikes to be called, number one. I don't think over the years the umpiring in both leagues has become more uniform because the American League umpires have adopted the inside chest protector. When I first started, there were a few umpires in the American League that still had that balloon protector outside, and you had a tendency to get the high strike. You're looking at Carlos Perez.
He has won 6 in a row after a 3-loss, 4-no decision start, and he'll be facing Chuck Knobloch. Luis Sojo still fills in for Derek Jeter for a 5th game. Paul O'Neill then in right. Bernie Williams is hot in center field. Tino Martinez at first. Chad Curtis is in left field. No DH. So it's Brocious at third, Girardi behind the plate, and Orlando El Duque Hernandez will hit ninth.
In the field for the Montreal Expos tonight as they take on the Yankees in the first game of a 3-game series. Andrews, Grzelcyk, Vidro, and Fulmer in the infield. Santangelo, White, and Guerrero in the outfield. Chris Widger will be doing the catching for Carlos Perez. We have highlighted the shortstop, Mark Grzelcyk, who led all of Major League Baseball in errors last year with over 30. This year, he's got about 14, and we're not quite to the halfway point. He can hit, he can run, but his fielding sometimes gets suspect, and I think when he's not hitting, that's when he has a tendency to make some errors.
So Chuck Knobloch gets set to face Carlos Perez, who, if things go right, can be a little bit nutty out there on the mound for Montreal and fun to watch. He pitches with a lot of emotion and is a brother of Pascual and Melito Perez, who both ended their careers as members of the New York Yankees. And the first Yankee game in the history of Olympic Stadium is underway. They average about 10,000 people here at Olympic Stadium. The city has just about given up on this franchise. It'll be interesting to see what the Yankees do in terms of being an extra draw for their team here in Montreal.
Well, during the introductions of the players over the public address system, a lot of Yankees got some big cheers. Some Yankee fans drove up.
2 balls and a strike to Knobloch. It's an easy ride up the Northway through the Adirondacks to Montreal.
And the city is about 40-50 miles beyond Plattsburgh, New York, which is a northern outpost in the United States.
Inside, and Perez is behind on the leadoff man, Chuck Knobloch.
Scouting report on Carlos Perez. Changes speeds well, very good control, and very animated as well. When he strikes somebody out, the whole world will know it.
Knobloch gets on base 40% of the time and looks at ball 4.
We had mentioned that Knobloch gets on base in the first inning better than anybody in the American League, and he's still doing it in interleague play.
Now the hitter will be Luis Sojo. Sojo's hitting only 176, albeit in limited duty, but he knows one thing. He'll probably be playing 15 straight games with Jeter now missing Game 5 on the disabled list with that pulled abdominal muscle.
Well, you know, during the course of a long season, just about everybody's going to get a chance to play, but you hate to miss somebody like Derek Jeter over a long stretch. That's in for strike 1.
We talk a lot about the luxuries the Yankees have in terms of depth and being able to take a seasoned veteran like Luis Sojo and just put him in the lineup.
He did a heck of a job at second base last year for the Yankees, hit over 300.
The 0-1 pitch from Perez is still to come. The Yankees lead the major leagues in stolen bases. They've reassumed the lead. And boy, the facial resemblance to Melito especially is striking. As a rookie in '95, went to the All-Star game and represented Montreal, and then missed the entire next season with shoulder surgery. Sojo lunging at 0-2. Took a little speed off of it.
Change of speeds, has an excellent changeup. It looks like a straight change that had Sojo out in front. Al, we're going to go back to our old argument because he missed he missed the '96 season, had successful surgery.
Right. Because
he's back in pitching.
Should we do this again?
Yeah. Now he's won 6 straight, and he now is the ace of the staff. And Felipe Alou says that Carlos Perez, for all his animation on the mound, is very serious when he's pitching.
Knobloch's going, and they've got him picked off. The throw to short. At second base, Knobloch is erased. The Yankees have an extraordinarily high success rate, so it gets your attention anytime they are caught stealing.
A lot of the times the call to throw to first base comes from the bench, and Felipe Alou is a master of having a feel for when the runner's going to be going. If that call came from the bench, he gets right, and they get Knobloch 1-3-6.
The block behind the plate by Chris Widger. So Knobloch is caught. That's the 25th time the Yankees have been caught stealing this season. But they've stolen 76 bases, so they're 75% of the time successful at taking the extra base. The 1-2 is high. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Perez does not throw as hard as he did before the shoulder surgery. As you can see, he's won his last 6 starts. Only 3 Expos pitchers have had longer winning streaks.
Sojo punches this out to short right field. Coming on is Vladimir Guerrero, and he pulls it down for the second out. So Sojo is retired here in the top half of the first inning. Now the hitter is Paul O'Neill. O'Neill hitting .330, joining Brocious, Bernie Williams, and Derek Jeter among the league leaders. Had a home run and went 2 for 3 in Sunday's win over Florida. That completed the sweep for the Yankees, who've won 7 straight. There's strike 1. The Expos, on the other hand, are coming off a 12-game road trip in which they went 6-6.
O'Neill's also sitting on a 15-game hitting streak. So for better than 2 weeks, he's had a hit in every game.
Well, back in the batter's box. He fouls it off, and Perez is ahead of him as he was against Sojo, 0-2. Here's his series versus the Marlins, a snappy 5 for 10. Florida played the Yankees close, but they just weren't able to take one.
Not enough firepower. Same thing for Tampa Bay prior to the Marlins.
O'Neill looks at ball 1. O'Neill was one of the Yankees who took advantage of the basketball hoop that they have in the visitors clubhouse, and Joe Torre says as long as it doesn't get physical, I'll let him play. You wonder if the Expos didn't put it in there so one of the visitors could, strain a muscle somewhere. The 1-2 to O'Neill. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
We mentioned that Carlos Perez has the 6-game winning streak, and Pedro Martinez had an 8-game winning streak last year and also had a 7-game winning streak in '95. Charlie Lee had a 7-game winning streak.
O'Neill to center field. Coming on is Rondell White, and very capably he pulls down out number 3. So Perez allows the leadoff walk and doesn't pay. How about that? 0s on the board for the Yankees. Montreal's turn next. Yankees baseball continues on MSG from Olympic Stadium in Montreal. It'll be the first road start in the career of Orlando El Duque Hernandez. His ERA off of that one start last week at the stadium against Tampa Bay, just a little over 1. And he will face the following lineup from the Montreal Expos, who currently find themselves at 24-37, fourth in the National League East. It'll be FP, Frank Paul Santangelo, then Jose Vidro, Vladimir Guerrero, Brad Fulmer, and Rondell White, the 3 best hitters in the order. Then it's Mark Grudzielanek in a bit of a funk. Chris Widgers behind the plate. Shane Andrews is at third, and Carlos Perez hits ninth.
In the field for the New York Yankees tonight, first time they've ever appeared at Olympic Stadium, Rosius, Soho, Knobloch, and Martinez in the infield. Curtis, Williams, and O'Neill. In the outfield, Joe Girardi doing the catching tonight for El Duque. Joe Girardi was not the starting catcher. It was Jorge Posada. And they made use of the language connection. But tonight, Joe Girardi's going to have to work on his Spanish.
And Joe Torre will thus lean on Tino Martinez and Luis Soho for a little infield translation. FP Santangelo hits .234 on the season and leads off for Montreal. He had a nice emotional night last night as the Expos took on their farm team, the Ottawa Lynx. Big swing and a miss. 0-2. El Duque is out in front. They retired FP Santangelo's number for the years he played in Ottawa, whereas true to the shirt he wears, he was a blue-collar player that the fans fell in love with.
Here's a guy who can play just about anywhere on the field. 5 different positions last year. And batted in 6 spots in the batting order. Felipe Alou doesn't have many guys to work with as leadoff hitters. This is a young, impatient type team. They're the exact opposite of the Yankees. They will swing the bats at just about anything. It's hard for them to go 2 pitches without swinging.
Ground ball to Tino Martinez, and El Duque's got his first out. FP Santangelo retired, and now it's Jose Vidro, the second baseman.
Now this is a young switch-hitting second baseman. Over the years, the Expos have had some pretty good second basemen in their time, going back to Ron Hunt. Had people like Delino DeShields, Mike Lansing. Now it's Jose Vidro's turn. Check out the scouting report on Orlando Hernandez. Curves are us. Strong first impression and northern exposure. This is the furthest north he's ever pitched.
Curves are us. Curves, aisle 6. He's got 5 pitches. That's what the scouts say. What was it?
I don't know. Looked like a changeup. Let's call this a change. Watch it start out here about knee high and then falls directly out of the zone.
The 1-2 pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He's got a fastball, a curve, a slurve, a slider, and a changeup.
Yeah, but the curve is really like 9 different curves because he throws them from 3 different angles. This is not a raw rookie, and I think Yankee fans appreciate the fact what they got here. He knows what he's doing.
A lunge to the right side, so the count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just for kicks, because he was pitching tonight, I tried to see if I could bring my knee up to where he does. Just standing still. I couldn't do it.
It's, you know, it's almost like they should call him the flamingo.
Oh, you
ever see a flamingo standing out down in Florida?
With 1 foot up.
Yeah, like that. See?
He's already got a nickname, though.
Yeah, well.
He doesn't need to. He goes full now on Vidro. It was a gorgeous day in Montreal. A bit cloudy right now and breezy on the cool side. But this is a fun town in the summertime. Lots of outdoor cafes. You spent 15 years here, and I would imagine most of them were fun.
Well, the winters are so long and so harsh that when the warmer months do come, the people get out and really enjoy it.
To center field, it will fall in. A 3-2 pitch. Jose Vidro is on for Montreal.
With a roofless stadium, though, as you watch Vidro get the base hit. This time of year, it's okay to go without the roof, but during the course of the early season and the later season, you need a roof on the stadium here in Montreal. Here's the kick. There's that flamingo kick. That's all the way above his shoulder. Can you do that, Al?
No.
No? I don't think. I know I can't. There would be some Ambulances pulling up to the stadium tonight. Tried that.
Gene Monahan couldn't come to my aid fast enough. One out, runner on, and we'll see how Orlando Hernandez handles this. The scouting reports that we got prior to his first performance at the stadium was that he's one of those pitchers that gets better when guys get on base, like Hideki Irabu has been. Vladimir Guerrero hitting .309. He's the stud in the Montreal Expos batting order.
Tommy Harper is the hitting coach here. For fans who might remember Tommy Harper, infield with the Red Sox and Milwaukee Brewers and Seattle Pilots.
Ground ball to Soho. Nice backhand play. There's one. The return not in time. Oh, that was close. Nice play by Soho. Deep in the hole, and from the backhand, he throws out Vidro at second.
Not every club has the luxury, as you mentioned it, Al, to go to a Luis Soho, who has a reputation as an excellent fielder at 3 infield positions. Make it 4. He's played first base this year. Right on the money to Chuck Knobloch. The relay to first, about as good as you can get it. And you know what? I thought he was out. Let's take a look again at first base. Watch his foot. I think his foot's going to be in the air as Tino catches the ball. It looked like he was out at first base. One more look. Soho, beautiful throw to Knobloch. The relay to first. Hey, let's call him out for our sake, but the inning's going to continue.
2 outs for Brad Fulmer, the rookie first baseman for Montreal. Very solid at the plate. He's hitting .287. He's still got a lot of defense to work on, and that's one of the things that's prevalent right now with a lot of the young Montreal players. They're second to last in fielding in the National League. And I was really amazed, Kenny, the difference between watching a batting practice with the Yankees and a batting practice with Montreal. The coaches actually do a ton of coaching. Do this with your hands. Don't do that. You got to swing through. You know, charge that ground ball. Don't stay back. I mean, fundamental things that these kids, who for the most part, many of whom should still be in AAA or even AA in some cases, are still learning the game.
They have players on the Expos teams who have not played AAA baseball.
They just went right past.
Skipped AA and played AA and skipped and came to the major leagues because they've had to get rid of so many players. And I think they are very, very lucky here to have Felipe Alou and his coaching staff working with these people. Felipe spent 12 years in the minor leagues before he got a shot to manage in the major leagues, and also 17 years managing in winter ball. So he's used to teaching young players and developing players, and he is the exact manager that they need in this situation. Plus, he has the type of patience, and during the course of the season with his teams, they usually improve.
El Duque behind 2-0 to Brad Fulmer. That's a strike, 2-1. Our friend Jerry here, who's been a longtime buddy of all our broadcasts back to New York from Montreal, one of 15,000 people that you've said hello to in your return to the Big O here tonight, called it Expo University.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go to school here for 4 years, then you graduate and go on and try to make something of yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You get what they've done, the coaching staff here has done. They've made too many of these players too good for their own good. They have to move on. They can't afford them anymore.
2-1 pitch, runner going. The throw by Girardi is not in time. A little wide to Soho, but very close.
But Girardi's throw would actually have been in time if it had been accurate. You can see it's going to be to the right field side of second base. Soho has to reach and then reach back, and he can't get the ball there in time and make the tag. Guerrero, multi-talented player, and he's in there with a stolen base, his 4th of the year.
Those are the throws, if Knobloch had been covering, that he's been making by jumping over the runner, grabbing the ball, and tagging behind him.
You have to be very acrobatic around the bag at second.
Ground ball foul on a 3-1 count, so it's 3 balls and 2 strikes to Brad Fulmer.
Fulmer, believe it or not, 27 doubles thus far into the season. And part of it is the artificial surface here in Montreal. Felipe Alou feels that he'll eventually develop home run power. He only has 4 home runs, but he does have 27 doubles.
He's having the kind of double season that Mark Grudzielanek had last year for Montreal, and is not having this year. Montreal 24-37. 6.5 games ahead of the offending world champions, the Florida Marlins.
Ooh, don't be so hard out.
Ground ball, just foul. A long at bat for Brad Fulmer. Here's the New York Marriott marquee matchup Wednesday against the Phillies. Carlos Perez won his 6th straight. A complete game where he scattered 7 hits and allowed only 1 earned run. Wednesday, Orlando Hernandez went 7, scattered 5, allowed equally 1 run, and struck out 7 while walking only 2. A cool customer on the mound for the Yankees. The 3-2 pitch gets Brad Fulmer. So a prolonged battle, but El Duque wins it. So in the first inning, nothing for the Yankees, nothing for the Expos. Back to Montreal in a moment. Tonight's May I See Your Passport? New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Hertz. For business, for pleasure, nobody does it exactly like Hertz. Al Trautwig along with Ken Singleton. We move to the second inning at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Carlos Perez against Orlando El Duque Hernandez. Carlos got the Yankees facing the minimum 3 in the first inning, walking Chuck Knobloch to start the ball game, but then they were able to pick him off first on a steal attempt. So it's Bernie Williams leading it off for the Yankees. Bernie hitting it into the black at Yankee Stadium, just as Ken Singleton did for the second time in his career. What was wrong with you? You couldn't do it again? Just one time?
Maybe if I had played for the Yankees.
Bernie went 3 for 9 in the series with the Marlins. Breaking ball outside. 2-0. Last year when Carlos Perez faced the Yankees, which is their only experience against him, Bernie went 2 for 3. Bernie fouls it back.
Well, let's go back to Sunday. As Al called it, a monstrous shot by Bernie Williams. It was measured at 418 feet into the black and never to come back.
And Bernie's now hitting .346, and in a mark of amazing consistency is .354 from the right side as he hits here tonight, and .341 from the left side, the side he had to learn how to hit from. 3 balls and a strike.
What's even more amazing, 9 home runs after 19 at-bats without a homer?
Yeah, Bernie fixed that a little bit. Bernie hits one really high up toward the roof here at Olympic Stadium, and gone. A home run, a monster moonshot by Bernie Williams. Bernie crushed it with a 9-iron. Yankees 1-0. And you hear all the Yankee fans who've made the trip to Montreal, the 10th round trip of the season for Bernie Williams.
Well, let me amend that. How about 10 home runs after the first 119 at-bats without a home run? You know, MSG actually goes to northern New York, too, so there's a lot of people who don't have that far a ride to come up here and see the Yankees. And they got a treat with a Bernie Williams homer.
Boy, Kenny, I thought that was going to ricochet off the top of the stadium.
Here's a look at it again, and he got under it. I don't think Bernie, he hit it straight up, but it just kept on going and going and going and hit off the scoreboard for the home run. One more look, and I think Bernie knows it has a chance. Now, he's looking at it, and now he's about to break it down. It's a home run.
Tino Martinez, hot shot to Fulmer at first. He'll do it all himself. One out here in the top of the second inning. The hitter will be Chad Curtis. You know, maybe in a new stadium, Bernie needed one extra beat to figure out if it was going to go or not.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, not familiar with the stadium, and he probably likes it very much, though.
I mean, they almost had to invoke the Dave Kingman and Darryl Strawberry foul line up there on the roof.
See, Bernie's pointing They're talking to Andy Pettit. You know, pitchers don't want to hear that stuff. Now, when you hit long home runs, you never know. You might not be teammates one day.
That's right. 1 ball and 1 strike to Chad Curtis.
See, there's the Darryl Strawberry line, and that is actually out in right field. Darryl actually hit a ball off of the facade up there, which encases the lights. That's when he was a member of the New York Mets.
Tell me, as a hitter, you know, normally they say, oh, he hit it too high to get out of here. But Bernie hit it out and hit it really high.
And it just carried and carried and carried. You're right. You called it a 9-iron shot.
Curtis smacks one to center field. Back goes Rondell White. Looking up, and it is off the wall. Now he's got to retreat. Curtis is at second base, thinking for 3. The long throw from White is not going to beat Curtis. It's a 1-out triple. 2 hard hit balls by the Yankees here in the second.
Well, what fans got to look at with that 3-base hit by Chad Curtis is the very rare, and I mean it, very rare double retrieve by an outfielder. Watch Rondell White go to the wall. He's retrieving it one way. There he comes back the other way. And it's a 3-base hit for Chad Curtis, who might have thought he had a home run. And his first triple of the season.
The only good thing about playing that rebound the way Rondell White did was that as you scoop up the ball, your momentum is in the right direction.
Yeah, but if there's one weakness in his game, he does not have a strong throwing arm.
Felipe Alou going through about 10,000 of those sunflower seeds in a game. Now Carlos Perez against Scott Brocious. Infield in to cut off the run with 1 out. Brocious has been nothing short of amazing with his bat. Right now at .328. 35 RBIs and 3 home runs.
It's nice when you have a guy like this at the bottom of the order where he's been most of the season with 35 runs batted in.
So it's better than nice. Brocious tags one down the line, and it is gone. A home run for Scott Brocious. 3-0 Yankees as they strike with 2 long balls of very differing variety. Bernie hit a high one. Brocious hit a line drive. And it's 3-0 New York.
That goes to show you, no matter how you hit them, they only count for 1 home run apiece. Line drive, long shot, upper deck type of shot. Well, the Yankees have struck with the long ball. Chad Curtis just missed a home run by a couple of feet.
Nice play by Fulmer off the bat of Joe Girardi. Perez steps on the bag, and that's 2 away. Scott Brocious still going through the high fives in the Yankee dugout.
There are 2 outs this inning, but every ball has been hit hard off of Carlos Perez, including this line drive 2-run home run by Scott Brocious. Did I say 35 RBIs? 37 runs batted in.
And now we're going to see how El Duque can hit. He's taken some batting practice with the rest of the Yankees in the brief time that he's been with the team.
Just you don't want pitchers in this situation to injure themselves. I'm talking about injuring your hands, rib cage pulls by swinging too hard. Looks like he's just going to stand up there and take. Because when pitchers aren't used to hitting, there are different muscles employed, and it's very easy to strain something.
Well, we saw what happened to Derek Jeter, and he's been hitting every day.
Yeah.
So that's his first major league swing.
That was last year. Larry Gowell.
See, that's one of those lunging swings that could be a problem. And a very brief experience for El Duque at the plate. However, something for Carlos Perez to think about. He's won 6 straight, but in those 6, he's never faced the New York Yankees. Bernie Williams took him out, and then Scott Brocious followed suit. 3-0 New York. The Yankees power their way to a 3-0 lead, and Bernie Williams' home run brought back memories in that Yankee dugout, I'm sure, for Darryl Strawberry, who won one big night in 1988. Here at the Big O, launched one off the roof And as a result, the umpires called it fair because, well, they thought so. And to give themselves a little bit of a chance later on the low 5, Darrell brought it around. They painted the stripe on the roof and underneath the roof here at the Big O in Montreal.
You know, if you chop that up, you get 200 singles.
The Mets set a team record with 6 home runs in that ball game. That was one of 2 that Darrell hit.
We're going to look. It is about right up here where he hit the ball. You can see it. You know, they use terms
that line was a little wobbly for me.
Well, you know, the pitch was a little wobbly before it when it came into the plate.
What a shot. Here's Rondell White, the center fielder for the Montreal Expos. In his 5th year, signing a long-term 5-year deal with the Expos and regretting it. He's making about $1 million per, Kenny. What do you think he'd be making on the open market?
I think that at the time that he signed the deal, now a lot of people advised him against it. But he was getting married at the time. He wanted to buy a house for his mother. And he figured after 5 years, he'd be like 29, 30 years old. He'd sign another contract. And if the Expos remain here and his deal runs out, there's no guarantee that he'll be with the Expos, just like everybody else, because, you know, they just don't pay. We mentioned the fact that Felipe Alou, the right manager for this type of club, who develops a lot of people, makes them into good players.
Leadoff walk issued by El Duque. I think if all they did was cut out all the sunflower seeds that Felipe eats, they'd have money to pay some of these guys.
Well, my point being before when I mentioned the fact that he managed 12 years in the minors and 17 years in winter ball. And for a guy who's come to the major leagues, and despite the fact they lose players year in and year out, he has a .541 winning percentage. I think that shows you what type of manager he is and how he develops young players.
Classy, intelligent, and very, very patient.
And patience is part of it, but, you know, when you talk about patience, I guess part of it is being 12 years in the minors and 17 in winter ball without getting a shot to manage in the major leagues.
Runner going. Girardi's throw is not in time. The wait. Off the bag. He is out at second base. Rondell White was in there in time, and then something happened when he went on by.
Now, sometimes you're too fast for your own good, as Felipe is trying to keep his club in this. See Rondell slide off the bag, and to Chuck Knobloch's, he tried to call time. You see him to call time, but the play was still...
He was still in motion.
He certainly was, and there's the tag by Knobloch, who, give him credit, he stayed with the play and got the out. Now here comes the play at second. The throw is a little late. Rondell, seeing that he's tried to call time. Jerry Davis wouldn't fall for it, and he's out.
That's one of those timeout attempts that they used to give you in the NBA that they outlawed. You know, one of those in midair deals.
Yeah.
Now the pitch to Grudzielanek is a strike. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Different arm angle on that pitch. Felipe Alou and Joe Torre were teammates with the Milwaukee and then Atlanta Braves. As we look at Mark Grudzielanek hitting.
Oh, he lunges after that one. El Duque had him fooled. And Grudzielanek, who's in the midst of a bad season, hears it from the fans here at the Big O.
He's one of the hitters on their ball club who just will swing at just about anything. He doesn't walk very often. They tried to lead him off. They couldn't do it because he swings at everything. And El Duque, that pitch was about 2 feet away from the strike zone. You don't have to throw him many strikes to get him out.
Now the hitter is the catcher, Chris Widger, hitting .253 on the season with 7 home runs and 22 RBIs. All the quotes that I was able to read from Montreal pitchers over the last few weeks, it seems as though they have a lot of faith in this guy. who's in his second year with the Montreal Expos. They seem to really trust his judgment throughout a ball game in terms of calling pitches.
Well, they got Widger in the Jeff Passero deal as we look at the former teammates. In 1966, they both made the All-Star team from the Atlanta Braves. The first year the Braves played in Atlanta. Felipe hit .327, led the National League with 122 runs, 218 hits. Joe Torre, .315, 36 homers, 101 runs batted in that 1966 season. In fact, a few years ago, and I checked with Joe today, Felipe told me the first game in Atlanta, Joe Torre hit 2 home runs. The Braves lost 3-2 in 14 innings. The starting pitcher who went all the way for Atlanta that day, Tony Cloninger.
Wow, Yankee coach. Lots more to talk about as the Yankees put another O up on the board. Chuck Knobloch stayed alert, and the Yankees and El Duque benefit. 3-0 Yanks. Yankees Expos Interleague Baseball brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealers. Al Troutwig along with Ken Singleton and Mike Crispino. Here's Jose Cardinal getting involved in the translation with El Duque and Mel Stottlemyre in the Yankee dugout a few moments ago.
You know, here's a guy who's thrown 2 shutout innings, and they're still working on his game. And to me, that's a positive point, because you should never be satisfied with your performance. Whether you're winning, you're way ahead, and certainly when you're behind. But you're just trying to get better and better.
Chuck Knobloch walked his first time up, hitting .282 on the season. And here they've come from Plattsburgh.
Plattsburgh about 50 miles south of Montreal.
See, the problem with coming from Plattsburgh is that the banner has to be really long. You know, like it's one of those days where you wish you came from Troy, Utica. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it gets torn and falls apart, and and then it's Platts loves the Yankees, or Berg loves the Yankees.
Yeah, the P is coming off. See it?
Carlos Perez to Knobloch, and he misses on 4 pitches. Something about Chuck Knobloch that Carlos Perez just can't deal with.
No, I think that's par for the course in any pitcher. The fact that Knobloch has a good eye, he knows his job is to get on base, and they're talking about the first time that he got picked off and caught stealing.
And it looked like Cardinal and Knobloch were trying to prevent that from reoccurring. Now it's Luis Sojo. He flied to right in his first trip. Big swing, 0-1. Just to go back to that translation, Jose Cardinal is doing the job, but as Jorge Posada was telling Michael Kay, that is a very big responsibility, because Orlando El Duque has a tendency to really go on at length, and by the time you finish translating the end of what he said, you forgot what he said in the beginning.
I remember the post-game show after his first win at Yankee Stadium, and I felt that Posada's translation was a lot shorter than what El Duque had to say. Yeah.
El Duque would be going on for like 45 seconds, and Jorge would say he had really had a good time today. Now, Jorge was great to do that. That's low from Carlos Perez. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Luis Sojo.
He's flashing the signs to the catcher, Chris Widger.
This place has a very weird echo to it, you know?
Since they took that roof off.
I mean, this place is one of the great financial boondoggles in the history of sport. They're still paying for it. 22 years after the Olympic Games, this is where Bruce Jenner won his decathlon gold medal. But what a price tag. It wasn't even finished after the Olympics were held. They never finished it in time, and they're still doing things in here that were meant originally.
That's another reason why they want a new stadium downtown.
The 2-2 pitch to Luis Sojo is coming up, as Perez knows that Knobloch tried to steal a base last time up and got caught.
See, the island of Montreal is an island in the St. Lawrence River. And this stadium sits on the east end of the island. Most of the baseball fans are on the west end.
Down the line and right. That falls in for Luis Sojo. Knobloch looks at Willie Randolph, who says, hold it right there. An opposite field single for Luis Sojo. Still nobody out.
I mentioned that Vladimir Guerrero has one of the best arms in the major leagues for a right fielder. And although this looked like a double when it left the bat, watch Guerrero, pretty good speed, will get over and cut it off. And from this point on, as Knobloch will take 2 bases on the hit, he's going to have to stop at third, and Sojo's only going to get a single. It looked like it was going to be a 2-base hit. Knobloch looking at Willie Randolph all the way. Now watch the throw coming out of that corner, and it is a BB to second base.
Kenny, I watched him during fielding practice today, having a catch with someone on the line at first base from deep in the left field corner, and he was throwing it with ease. He's really got a gun. The hitter is Paul O'Neill with 2 runners on and 1 in scoring position, and that, of course, gets Paul O'Neill zeroed in. Ball 1, low and outside.
So to finish up that thought about this, most of the baseball fans on the west end, this park lays on the east end of the island of Montreal, and downtown is in the middle.
That's
so
not
the
good.
feeling is they should build a new park downtown and keep the people who work in the city and the people in the west would come to the ballpark.
O'Neill reaches for one that'll sail foul. This is a franchise that once drew 2.3 million fans. Shane Bennett warming up for the Expos in the bullpen. They were named for Expos 67, which was held on an island not far from here, a world fair, so to speak. And they joined baseball in 1968 and played at Parc Jarry. Jarry Park. Boy, was that a minor league facility in every way.
It is now the National Tennis Center. They have transformed it into a nice tennis facility.
1-1 pitch to Paul O'Neill.
When I got traded from the Mets to the Expos, that's where we played, over there in Jarry Park. And talk about cold and windy. It's a good thing I was a young player, because I would have demanded to be traded if I was in the latter stages of my career. It was just too cold.
You were 3 years here, right?
Yeah, 3 years. 70. 2, 3, and 4.
A stop by Widger, and now it's a 3-1 count for Paul O'Neill. And here's where you can really zero in as a hitter. That's twice that I've used that phrase.
Well, the fact is you're right. And O'Neill at the plate can really look for something he can hit hard. And we noticed from Paul O'Neill over the years, it doesn't necessarily mean he's looking to hit a home run. It means he's looking to hit the ball hard to any field and pick up an RBI.
O'Neill to center field. Coming on is Rondell White. Knobloch's going to not go. That was just too shallow, and Rondell White was coming on. And so O'Neill flies out. 1 away.
Carlos Perez took something off the pitch, and even though Rondell White does not have a strong arm, as you said, much too shallow, even the challenge, Rondell White's the only weakness in his game is his throwing. And as you can see, that's a perfect throw, 1 hop to the plate. He was just beyond second base and center field, so Carlos Perez keeps the runners at first and third, and now there's 1 out.
Bernie Williams hit a huge home run in his first at bat. Solo shot, his 10th of the season. Mike Crispino figuring out the math. He goes 0 for his first 119 and then hits 10 in his next 99 at bats. This took Bernie a little while to figure it out.
That's like Mark McGwire. Better than Mark McGwire.
Not in total, but in pace.
No, in pace, yeah. Speaking of Mark McGwire, 29th last night.
How about the RBI total? I mean, there's a shot that someone could have like 95 RBIs by the All-Star break. And then you're going to hear not only about Roger Maris, you're going to start hearing about Hack Wilson, who has the RBI record of 190. Juan Gonzalez sitting with 77 RBIs. I think McGuire's got 73. 1-0 pitch to Bernie. 2 balls and no strikes.
Yep. Let's go back to Bernie's home run in a second. He is so locked in. Carlos Perez, after all that off-speed stuff, tried to sneak a fastball by Bernie. Like trying to sneak the sun past the rooster. You can't do it.
That home run, I'm going to guess, came within a few feet of glancing off the roof above left field. And Carlos Perez is really flirting with some problems here. He goes 3-1 on Paul O'Neill and gets out of it. But now he's 3-0 on Bernie Williams.
I would suspect if Bernie gets something that he likes, as pitching coach Bobby Cuellar looks on, another of the former Seattle Mariner pitching coaches, he'll be swinging.
And now the bases are loaded for Tino Martinez. Second walk of the inning given up by Perez. And the fans get a little uneasy here in Montreal. This has been their rock. This has been the one pitcher that they've been able to count on for the last month and a half.
Now they say that even though Carlos had 3 straight losses to begin the season, he pitched well in all 3 of those games. So actually he's had pretty good starts each and every time out. He's won his last 6 in a row, but he's in trouble here tonight.
Tino grounded to first his last time up. 1 out here in the top of the 3rd inning. Career with the bases loaded. Tino's pretty good. 319, 38 for 119.
Any pitch up and out over the plate is going to be hit hard.
1-1.
Nice off-speed breaking ball to pick up a strike.
Explain to me why a batter gets caught on an off-speed pitch like this.
Well, he's ahead on the count, 1 ball and no strike, so he's looking for something harder. And Perez changes speeds, takes something off a breaking ball, got Tino way out in front.
So he's thinking fast swing, but
he's thinking a fast pitch, a faster pitch actually.
Tino swings and misses again. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
You saw the reaction by Perez on the mound as he pulled his fist back. Another good breaking ball for a strike.
That was sort of a semi-Carlos Perez celebration. A mini celebration.
The 3rd strike is the big one, but it's not going to be easy to get Tino.
The 1-2. Ground ball. Deep in the hole. There's one, and safe at first. The Yankees get a run. Carlos is fuming. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Knobloch scores as Martinez beats the throw.
Well, the ball wasn't hit very hard, and Andrews had to go to his left to make the play. That puts a lot of pressure on Vidro to get the throw to first. And you also saw the pressure put on Vidro by Bernie Williams, who goes in there hard at second. And Tino beats the play at first. And the Yankees pick up their 4th run of the night. The reaction by Perez on the close call at first base as you see Knobloch score the run for the Yankees.
So Carlos Perez is now down 4-0. Knobloch's in the dugout, scoring the Yankee run. Soho advances to 3rd. Tino's on with the fielder's choice at first, and Chad Curtis, tripling his last at bat, is the hitter.
Didn't miss a home run by much either.
No, about 3 feet maybe.
Off the center field wall.
One-0 pitch. Popped back in our neighborhood, and we're pretty high and back here at Olympic Stadium.
You can tell they've got a pretty good crowd for Olympic Stadium when they open both bleacher sections and they have fans actually sitting in both sections out there. Usually, most of the time, one of the sections is empty, or if not both. So the Yankees are a drawing card wherever they go. Remember, the Expos average just over 10,000.
And you know, at MSG, we travel our own attendance expert. His job is simply to estimate the attendance in the early innings. And his estimate tonight is that this is about a 20,000 crowd, or about double what the Expos normally get. Thank you, Yankees, says Claude Brochu. 1-2 pitch to Chad Curtis from Carlos Perez. Runners at first and third. Thought about it. Close, but it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Soho single down the line in right. Tino's on with the fielder's choice. And Felipe Alou's looking at a 4-run deficit. We're going to option C here. Curtis puts that breaking pitch in center field. And Rondell White pulls it down. And considering who he faced and how many runners was on, Carlos Perez only gives up 1 run, although he doesn't look like he feels lucky. Yankees 4, Expos zip. Gee, this weekend the Yankees return to Yankee Stadium for a very short 3-game homestand. They'll take on the Cleveland Indians Friday, an evening game, Saturday and Sunday in the afternoon. Saturday is batting helmet day. Fans 14 and under, courtesy of Fleet Bank, receive a batting helmet bank. Sunday, it's 1928 World Series replica pin day. All fans receive one of those, courtesy of Chase Manhattan. Now, prior to Saturday's game, Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, and Robin Williams will headline a celebrity hardball game, Comic Relief, presented by Adidas. That game starts at 11:30, and the gates at the stadium open at 10:30. Remember, there's only 6 chances to see the Yankees at home the rest of this month. Only 6. A lot of time on the road.
Billy Crystal has his own Yankee uniform that he wears.
That does not surprise me.
Tailor-made.
He's also got a lot of tuxedos.
And a lot of talent.
Shane Andrews is the third baseman for the Montreal Expos, hitting a light .219. You like a bigger batting average and bigger numbers from your third baseman.
Well, Shane Andrews missed most of last season with a nerve injury in his shoulder. Now the Expos, it seems whenever this guy gets in the doghouse, he's not playing well. Just about when Felipe is ready to either sit him down or send him out, he hits a home run, gets hot. He does have some power. He has 10 home runs, but he has many strikeouts.
El Duque misses outside, so he's behind in the count, which is full. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Bottom of the 3rd inning here at Olympic Stadium. And he strikes him out. El Duque with his 3rd K of the ball game.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch El Duque pitch. Now, the previous pitch was down and away. Where's this one? This one's up. So 2 different looks on successive pitches, and that's how you strike guys out who strike out a lot. They're looking in one area and can't comprehend or can't get to the other area and strike out.
I don't know if you agree with me, but it looked as though Shane Andrews was going toward the outside part of the plate as if he believed that pitch was going to break outside, and that of course is because of the previous pitch, which is what you're talking about.
Influence.
Broken bat, ground ball, Knobloch stabs and throws. 2 quick outs.
Well, there's the business end of the bat out there. Chuck Knobloch. Chuck picks it up. They don't make them like they used to. As Carlos swings, left with the handle in his hand, and that's out number 2. Carlos is a pretty good hitter. He's hit a couple home runs in the big leagues.
Two outs for Frank Paul, F.P. Santangelo.
Well, he mentioned last night that he got his number retired.
Said he felt old because of that. That was with the Ottawa Lynx. The Expos played their farm team yesterday.
Ottawa is a little over an hour west of Montreal, and a lot of the players at Ottawa will come to Montreal when they have an off day, and they can see a big league game here in Montreal. FP never came to Montreal in a situation like that. He said, the first time I come here, it's going to be to play. In his first major league at bat, he hit a triple.
There was a funny story in the newspaper today, and it involved the third base coach of the Montreal Expos, Pete McCannon. Ground ball that'll end the inning. And Tino's got to make the tag, and does. Another one of those off-target Chuck Knobloch throws, but he's saved by Tino Martinez. 1-2-3 inning for El Duque. 4-zip Yankees. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the Aflac Trivia Quiz, who holds the Expos record for most walks in a season? As always, we offer you a hint. He's probably in the building. Here's Chuck Knobloch ending the Bottom of the third inning with one of those off-target throws that Tino Martinez saves the day on, and coming off the field. What's he saying here, Kenny?
It looks as though his grip, something with the grip, his two fingers together. Willie Randolph says, why don't you just spread them a little bit? Might get better action on the ball. We've seen this a lot from Chuck Knobloch this year. That Tino Martinez has been able to save him time and time again with the errant throws. You know, you got to listen to Willie Randolph, though.
Absolutely.
I told Willie many times, if it wasn't for him, I had another 100 hits.
Here's Scott Brocious, who hit his 4th home run as a Yankee. It came with Chad Curtis on and gave the Yankees at that point a 3-0 lead. And Brocious hits another one pretty deep to left, and it is gone. Scott Brocious, back-to-back home runs. It's 5-0 Yankees. We have now officially run out of words to describe how good he has been.
What an acquisition.
I didn't think that one was going to go.
Well, it was a line shot and it carried. This one was more towards the gap in left center. The previous one was down the line. You had a feeling that one was gone. But this one made it.
Now the hitter is Joe Girardi. He grounded out. First baseman to pitcher covering his first time up. Yankees 5, Expos nothing here in Montreal.
Now here's another look at the pitch to Scott Brocious. Breaking ball that hung and was hammered.
Well, if the baseball fans of Montreal came out to see what the best team in baseball looks like, they're getting a very good sampling. Not only are they seeing the power and Brocious and Bernie, and now they get the ball played in from the outfield. Someone evidently had thrown it over the wall. But they're seeing what is, for all intents and purposes, the Yankees' 6th starter, shutting them out. Ground ball by Girardi to short. Grzelcyk to Fulmer, and there's one out.
Another look at the home run swing. This is the 9th time in Scott Brocious' career that he's hit 2 home runs in a game. The last time was 1996 against the California Angels. As Carlos Perez, he knows he's not getting that ball back.
So it's Orlando El Duque Hernandez. He's thinking to himself, hey, this playing for the Yankees is great. They give me these big leads. All I got to do is go out there and throw the ball.
Well, he won his first start 7-1, was it?
Yep.
Yep.
So far we've seen hitting is not his thing. Ground ball to second. Vidro to Fulmer, and there are 2 away. That is one big chain around the neck of Carlos Perez.
His brother wore more gold than he did.
Oh, it takes the Perez brothers a long time to get dressed after a game. I mean, by the time they get it all loaded on,
it's time to come back to the stadium for the next game.
And you know what's really annoying is that they each have a different sort of clasp. You know how those jewelry guys, they make those clasps very tough to figure out? Takes them a while. Strike 1 to Knobloch. Knobloch has walked both times, got caught stealing in the first, and scored a run in the third. That was on the Tino Martinez ground out with the bases loaded. Line drive, base hit with 2 away. So Knobloch is perfect in doing his job tonight in the game. On base all 3 times.
Well, he started the night with an on-base percentage of about 40%, which is where it will end up at the end of the season, if not higher.
Soho watches ball 1. Kenny, by chance, would you have figured out what the Yankees are when they score more than 4 runs this season? I bet it's a very impressive total.
I think it's 38-5. That's right, 38-5.
Soho gets into one. Back goes Santangelo, and he can't deal with it. Knobloch coming all the way around, and it's an RBI double for Luis Sojo, his second hit of the ball game. And these balls that the Yankees are hitting, I mean, they are smoked.
Well, Perez is getting the ball up in the zone. Everything is about thigh high, nothing around the knees. And the way the Yankees hit and have been hitting all season long, that breaking ball middle of the plate, Santangelo with a good effort. The ball looked like it actually hit his glove, but he couldn't make the catch. And Sojo's going to get an RBI two-base hit. His first extra base hit of the season.
This guy's playing like Derek Jeter tonight. Here's Paul O'Neill fouling one off. He's flied out twice, both times to center field. 6-0 Yankees. And if you're Felipe Alou, you're saying, wait a minute, we've got our best pitcher on the mound tonight. What's going to happen the rest of this series?
Well, they have a pretty good pitcher going tomorrow night in Dustin Hermanson. He has a good arm. Originally was a reliever, but the Expos turned him into a starting pitcher. There's another pitcher that Felipe has at his disposal, a guy that the Yankees, if they have big leads, they won't see in this series. That's the closer, Uget Urbina, who throws as hard as anybody in the National League. And if the Yankees don't see him for 3 days, that'll be pretty good. That means they're playing good ball.
2 balls and a strike to Paul O'Neill with Sojo on at second, and the Yanks up by a half a dozen. Urbina has all 14 of the Montreal Expos saves on the season.
Now, Carlos Perez is a good pitcher, but he's throwing mediocre stuff tonight. And as we've seen all season long, Al, the Yankees just kill mediocre stuff.
O'Neill to center field. Rondell White is back, and he pulls it down. O'Neill throws the helmet away in disgust. He hit that ball hard, as have the Yankees tonight. They get 2 more, and they've got 6. Scott Brocious hitting home runs in back-to-back at-bats. Back in a moment on MSG. With us tonight, El Duque. I don't know if that's the correct way to spell it, but what the heck. We get the point. He's rolling along, and so are the Yankees, 6-0. El Duque has allowed just 1 Expo hit. And now it's Montreal's turn in the bottom of the 4th inning. It's numbers 2, 3, and 4 in their order. Jose Vidro, Vladimir Guerrero, and Brad Fulmer. Vidro singled. He's got the only hit. 312 on the season. This is a guy who started the season, couldn't hit a lick, so they sent him to the minor leagues. They brought him back up, and then it didn't look like he was going to hit, and then suddenly something switched. And you see his batting average at this point. He goes out to left. Curtis has to retreat and makes a nice running catch. Well, they certainly didn't play Vidro to hit the ball there. 1 out here in the 4th. We've chronicled the story of El Duque having to leave Cuba on a small ship. Some call it a raft, with his wife and 6 other people, and surviving a rescue that wound up with him going to Costa Rica and finally signing a contract with the Yankees. And you know that the relations between the United States and Cuba are such that you just can't go to JFK or LaGuardia and hop on a plane for Havana. But things are a little bit different here in Canada. In fact, on the way to the ballpark here tonight, imagine what El Duque thought as he was riding on the highway and saw an advertisement for people of Montreal to travel to Havana. As we translate this billboard, not far from the Big O, it says, "An unforgettable warmth." I'm sure El Duque could only wrinkle his face with the irony that such warmth prevents him from being reunited with his 2 kids who have to remain at home. Out at first base, the big throw by Sojo.
Well, Luis Sojo actually made it a tougher play, and he's got a little smile on his face. The footwork wasn't classic as he goes to the ground, but up quickly, the strong throw just in time to get Guerrero at first base. And you can smile when you get an out. He wouldn't have been smiling if Guerrero had been saved.
Imagine seriously, though, you know, you've got a communist country that prevents you from being with your family, forces you to escape to find freedom. And then there's a travel poster. I mean, you know, yeah, that Fidel Castro, he runs a resort like Disney. You know what I mean?
Well, actually, people from the United States who want to go to Cuba can come up here to Canada and then fly down there.
1 ball and 1 strike. There it is. Fouled off. It's a remarkable story that is, without a doubt, headed to a movie screen somewhere, somehow near you. Fulmer's behind in the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Once again, his control is remarkable. What a breaking pitch thrown by Orlando Hernandez. Fulmer has struck out for the 2nd time in the ball game. He's got 4 Ks, this El Duque, and a 6-0 lead back in Montreal after this. The Yankees, riding 3 home runs, are up 6-0 over the Montreal Expos. This copyrighted telecast is authorized under rights granted by the Yankees solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publications, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Yankees, George really doesn't like that, and Madison Square Garden Network is prohibited. Bernie Williams leads it off, and we have a new pitcher for the Montreal Expos. Carlos Perez's 6-game winning streak is over. Australian Shane Bennett making his 24th appearance on the year. 36 hits over 32 2/3. Fastball to Bernie Williams, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Hey, Kenny, how about the inning for El Duque? 9 pitches, 8 strikes, 3 outs. Ground ball to short. Scoop by Grudzielanek, and the throw just does get Bernie Williams 1 away. El Duque has been rolling.
Here's a look at Shane Bennett, and we talked about worldwide scouting and how you have to go the worldwide to get players. Graham Lloyd from Australia, the new pitcher for the Expos. Shane Bennett, also from Australia.
I mean, if you like traveling and seeing the world, the Yankee clubhouse is a pretty cool place to hang out. You get stories of the land down under, Cuba, Panama, the Dominican Republic, with Tino, Tampa, Japan.
Willie Randolph.
Catering for the team is a bit difficult, but
yeah. Willie Randolph and Joe Torre can tell you all about Brooklyn.
That's a strike to Tino Martinez. 2-1.
In fact, Bennett has his own website. It's called the Rue Report. Short for kangaroo.
I got that.
Okay.
4-3 on your scorecard. 2 outs on the scoreboard as Shane Bennett deals with Bernie Williams and Tino Martinez. Well, let's go back to the Aflac Trivia Quiz and see if you figured it out. Who holds the Expos record for most walks in a season? Not Tim Raines, no, but he is in the building right next to me. Ken Singleton in 1973. Boy, you played like a Yankee that year, didn't you? Mr. Patience.
123 walks.
Wow. Here's Chad Curtis with 2 away. 1 ball and no strikes. And you made a lot of friends in your years in Montreal, and if one more of them comes in the booth, you're finished. That's it.
Wait a minute. Rick Cerrone.
Well, he's allowed. He doesn't count. Bennett to Curtis on the 1-1. Way inside, 2 balls and a strike. One of those Yankee specials, a 2-out base hit by Chad Curtis. So Curtis has himself a 2-hit ball game, tripled earlier and was brought in on Scott Brocious' his first of 2 home runs, and here he is. 2 at-bats and 2 gone. Both line drive screamers off of Carlos Perez.
There was a discrepancy in the number of times that Scott Brocious has hit more than 1 home run in the ball game. It is actually 10. It actually said 8 in the press guide, but it is actually 10 times that he's done it.
And Brocious launches another one down the line and gone. Oh no, they waved it foul. Oh, my apologies. They waved it foul. At first I saw the arm go up and I thought it was going to be the windmill sign, and it did not.
Look at it. It is, well, he had the distance. Man, is he locked in tonight?
Wow. I thought that one had a curl on it that wrapped it around the foul pole.
This at-bat's not over with yet, though.
It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Tell you, when they talk about the longest home run ever hit here at the Big O, it's credited to Willie Stargell at 535 feet. And Brocious sends a fly ball. This one well short. Going back is Grudzielanek, and he makes the play. So that'll do it for the Yankees. A little threat by Scott Brocious to do it back to back to back. But it's ruled foul in the middle of the 5th. Yankees 6, Expos nothing. Here in Montreal, El Duque's got a 6-0 lead. He's given up only 1 hit. Well, Kenny, it's time for Rebecca Lobo and company to try and get to the championship again and win it. It's the Liberty home opener on Sunday, June 21st. They'll take on the Utah Stars. All dads will receive a special Father's Day gift. Tickets start at just $8. Stop by the Garden box office for tickets or call Ticketmaster at 212-307-7171. They were truly a Garden phenomenon last year, the New York Liberty. Here's Rondell White, the center fielder. He's had a busy ball game out there defensively. And here he's facing El Duque, who once again, Kenny, just looks like he's got enormous control. He's putting the ball, spotting it exactly where I guess he wants to put it, because it's really got Montreal off balance.
Mostly down and away. And when he misses, he never misses to the middle of the plate. He misses outside. And he looks just unflappable, doesn't he? Like nothing bothers him.
Oh, and he hits Rondell White. And he shows the frustration facially. The Expos will get the leadoff man on as White shakes off the pain.
Well, because all the pitches had been away, Rondell is late to react to this pitch inside and gets drilled. Up and in. Look to get him on the wrist or the hand. It's trainer Ronnie McLean. Out to check on Rondell White, who the Expos could ill afford to lose for any extended period of time.
I mean, you mentioned El Duque is a pretty cool customer, and I think we brought it up last week. When you're floating in the Atlantic Ocean with no food and water, and all you see is nothing, what can scare you? A runner on first base? That's a problem? I don't think so.
Plus, you know the water is shark infested.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bad situation right there. This is something he can handle. He's up 6-0. He can go right after Montreal, and he's facing the bottom part of the order, and Grudzielanek, Widger, and Andrews scheduled to hit.
Well, Grudzielanek does not strike out very much. That was only his 34th of the season, but he walks even less. He's walked 13 times. I mean, we've seen Bernie Williams do that in a period of a week.
Line drive to the glove of Soho. And they've got him off first, but Tino can't hold on. The Yankees just missed the double play. Rondell White was well off the bag.
I think with Rondell White sliding back into first base, it kind of shielded the ball from Tino Martinez. They couldn't see it clearly. See the late reaction with the glove. Nice stop by Soho, then to throw across the diamond, and a runner coming in as well, and Tino barely got leather on it. In fact, he stopped it with his right leg.
So Soho's getting it done with the bat and the glove here tonight in Montreal. The hitter is Chris Widger, 251 on the season. Swinging strike one.
Widger, one of the players that they got in the Jeff Passero deal. The Yankees recall Jeff Pissarro, the left-hander for Seattle, who's done a pretty good job for the Mariners. Pissarro became arbitration eligible here and had to go. And in fact, he had lost one arbitration and had a good year again. And then Pissarro's agent told the Expos they were really going for it. And they said, no, you're not. You're going to Seattle instead.
Oh.
And the Mariners signed him to a 3-year deal.
The 0-2 pitch. Ew, got him big time. No chance for Widger to hit that pitch. 2 outs. 5 strikeouts for El Duque.
Well, another sharp breaking ball. It's not only the fact that the ball breaks, but he gives you a new look when he drops down and throws it. He can throw it from 3/4 motion, overhand, and then the sidearm.
Anthony Telford in the Montreal Expos bullpen. They've already sent a pitcher into the ball game in relief of Carlos Perez. That's strike 1. Hernandez consistently getting the breaking ball on the corner of the plate where he wants it and getting it for strikes.
That was the overhand curveball.
That's just something else for a hitter to be surprised by, right? I mean, you're looking for a release point at one position and he gives it in another spot. Is that the complication or what?
See, there it is. You just mentioned that. The first curveball was overhand curve, then a sidearm fastball. And particularly for a right-handed hitter, that can be very disconcerting. Because you're right. You're looking for the ball to come out of one certain area, and when it doesn't, you're that much later to react to it.
1 ball and 1 strike here in the bottom of the 5th with the Yankees up 6-0. Strike 2. He's really been something.
That's almost unfair, that pitch. Sidearm curve. It looked like the previous pitch, the fastball, and then broke away.
He's walked only 1, and he's given up only 1 hit. Two balls and 2 strikes.
Andrews would not bite on that breaking ball out of the zone. Now remember last time he struck him out on a high fastball after all those pitches down and away. Now let's see if El Duque remembers, as Mel Stoudemire giving a sign to Joe Girardi, and if Shane Andrews can adjust.
Make it 6. Orlando Hernandez rolling along through 5. The Yankees up 6-0 here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. His 6th strikeout of the ball game. Our coverage of the Yankees will continue after Bill Daughtry's report from New York.
Thank you, Al. The jury's still out on his Met debut. Hideo Nomo gave up a run in the first at Shea, but his team has picked him up. Mets lead it 3-1. Ball game now in the 3rd inning. Yes, no more problems out at Shea Stadium, so to speak. There he is, the new star for the men in black, working to Randy Wynn. That is the old split finger. You can't touch it, Randy. Then it's John Olerud, after we get a look at number 16, with a opposite field double. That's in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Randy Wynn is playing it badly. Rolls to the corner. Bernard Gilkey comes around to score, and the New York Mets will take a 3-1 lead as Piazza scores, and the Mets have the 3-1 lead out at Shea Stadium for Mr. Nomo. We'll have more for you right after this. The seal has been broken. Red Wings fans are happy. It's a 1-0 Detroit lead game in our first period. Now, tonight on our Late Show, we'll have more Nomo's debut, and we'll hear from a very disgruntled Giant linebacker named Corey Miller. We'll see you after the game right back here on the sports desk. Right now, let's go back to Montreal. Detroit lead game in our first period. Now, tonight on our Late Show, we'll have more Nomo's debut, and we'll hear from a very disgruntled Giant linebacker named Corey Miller. We'll see you after the game right back here on the sports desk. Right now, let's go back to Montreal.
Shane Bennett remains in the ballgame for the Montreal Expos. The Yankees riding the home runs of Bernie Williams and 2 from Scott Brocious, leading 6-0. Joe Girardi and Orlando Hernandez discussing things. We're going to find out how much Spanish Joe knows. And here's Joe Girardi singling here to kick off the 6th. And that will bring up El Duque. And it looks like there's complete understanding.
You notice Joe said right, which leads me to believe that El Duque said something in English.
Why not?
He's
doing everything else well.
You know what? And Hideki Arabu, who we'll see tomorrow night, he's picking up more and more English.
El Duque shows bunt. How about this? And he's out and advances the runner. Talk about getting with the Yankee program. And he hears a nice cheer from the crowd. Joe Torre nods his head in approval. Way to go. That's what he's saying with that nod.
Well, for the years that he played on the Cuban national team, as he goes back to the dugout, usually these guys were the world champions when they played either in the Olympics or, in international events. So they were schooled well in how to play baseball. I'm sure that he had to bunt on occasion.
Well, now Bennett's got to deal with the top of the Yankee order, and Chuck Knobloch's had a perfect night as the leadoff man with 2 walks, a single, and 2 runs scored. Batting average now up to .285. His batting average has been like a good stock from the start of the season, just always moving. Up, up, up.
Jim Cott had mentioned on an earlier broadcast that how he cradles the bat in his top hand, kind of lays it back and holds it very loosely. But then when he starts his swing, his hands naturally tighten on the bat and he follows through. Watch him just cradle it.
Yeah, he's not squeezing it at all. Does that give you more bat control?
Now, I would think for his case, what it does is you're naturally going to grab the bat harder. In other words, he's not really over squeezing it and getting really his muscles real tense before he swings. He's actually got it held nice and loose. Then all of a sudden he brings it up quickly, and he's not, tightening up as he swings.
3 balls and a strike to Knobloch with a runner on at second and 1 out here in the 6th.
It also shows it's not how you do it, it's if you do it.
And that's ball 4. That is the 3rd walk tonight for Chuck Knobloch. And now it's Luis Sojo. Luis has a single and a double with a run driven in. 2 for 3, and just like that, his average jumped 46 points.
I would think with a little regular playing time, you'll see Sojo start to hit the ball a little bit better.
It's only his 38th at bat of the season. This the 5th game of Derek Jeter's term on the disabled list. A time on the disabled list that he views more like a sentence. He told Joe the day after the injury, "I'm ready, I can play." It's too late.
The thing about it, when a youngster like Jeter is injured and you have to sit out and you're used to playing every single day, you do go nuts. You start to drive the manager and the coaches batty. You're looking for things to do during the course of the game. He's used to making the great plays at short, getting hits, getting on base.
It's how pranksters are born.
Nervous energy. He doesn't know what to do with himself. Looks kind of calm right there.
Jorge is available for Joe Torre to use today. Late inning replacement, something like that. But this is sort of an extra day, a luxury day, really, if you want to call it that. The Yankees not forced to bring him back too early. They've got Joe Girardi. So Posada's foot with a very, very rapid recovery. 3 balls and a strike to Luis Sojo. The good buddies, Jeter and Posada.
You see Tim Raines sitting there too. For Tim Raines, his first time back in Montreal in 10 years. The Expos traded him to the White Sox years ago. And when he came out on the field prior to the game, the fans gave Tim Raines a nice ovation. They remember The Rock, the all-time leader, as Mike Crispino mentioned, in stolen bases.
Runs, singles, triples, and walks, too. The 3-2 pitch coming up to Sojo. Runners are going, and Sojo is swinging out to right field, and it falls in, so the runners can restart. But they had to freeze because it was sort of in that no man's land. They weren't sure, so it's bases loaded, nobody scores. And Luis Sojo has his 3rd hit of the ball game. Now, who does Mike Crispino go after on the postgame?
Here's a nice swing off the end of the bat, drops in front of Guerrero. As you mentioned, Joe Girardi at second. Wasn't sure whether Guerrero was going to make the catch or not. Watch him start. Then he's going to look back. He sees the ball hit. Is he going to catch it? I got to get back. Nope, he's going to fall in. I go to third. So he can advance 90 feet after running about, what, 120?
At least.
Yeah.
Well, Carlos Perez was in this situation before. Bases loaded with Paul O'Neill at the plate. O'Neill has scored or driven in a run in each of his last 20 games. Here tonight, he'll do it for a 21st. The Yankees get a 7th run. The challenge for the 8th is successful. The ball gets away from Widger, the catcher, and all hands are safe. 2 RBIs for O'Neill, his 48th and 49th of the season. There they go, Knobloch and Girardi. And it is 8-0 New York.
And O'Neill is now hit in 16 straight games. Comes up with the bases loaded. Some guys just have a knack for getting that big hit when they see those RBIs out there. Guerrero has a very strong arm, but sometimes he doesn't know where the ball's going. And this one's a little offline. Guerrero has 8 errors for an outfielder. And a lot of them are throwing errors.
So 11 hits to 1. And now it's Bernie Williams. Ball gets away, but there's no advance. Bernie's home run was a true monster. It threatened with touching the roof in left field. Darryl Strawberry is credited with a 525-foot home run here. We showed you it earlier. But the longest one is protected in memory by a little yellow seat that sits up in right field in the red deck. To look at it from home plate, you can't believe that Willie Stargell could hit it there, but that thing must have been hit with a spin to remember. It curled around the foul pole into the second deck here at the Big O. And that man has a sense of bad timing. Very bad timing. Because that's the yellow seat.
That's the Stargell seat, as they call it here.
I hope that's not used as evidence at some future date. That's why they're so laid back.
That seat's very high up there, isn't it?
Yeah. 2-1 to Bernie, and he sends this one to center field. Rondell White is back, and he can't make the play. Another run scores. Bernie's got a double with another RBI. It is 9-0 Yankees. And Felipe Alou is coming out of the dugout.
And the signal to the home plate umpire, this is something you don't see in the American League. Pitch out over the plate. Bernie got good wood on it. Rondell White almost made a fantastic catch. In fact, he had it in his glove, and when he brought the glove down, the ball came out. And Bernie will get the 2-base hit. Watch the ball go into the glove and then come out of it as he tries to hold on to it, and the ball falls to the turf. You saw the move by Felipe Alou as Shane Bennett will leave the game. He had to mention to the umpire he's making a double switch.
It's a National League thing. Back in a moment. You're looking at Anthony Telford. He's the new pitcher, third of the ball game for the Montreal Expos. We have a blowout in progress, 9-0 New York here in the 6th. Well, the Cleveland Indians visit the stadium for 3 games this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the stadium. On Sunday, all fans will receive a 1928 World Series replica pin, compliments of Chase Manhattan Bank. Tickets are available now at the stadium through Ticketmaster, the Yankee Clubhouse stores, and on the web at www.yankees.com. Saturday is Fleet Bank's Batting Helmet Bank Day. Now the hitter is Tino Martinez. Telford gets a lot of work. In fact, this is his 32nd appearance of the season. Martinez is one of the few Yankees without a hit. Ground out, fielder's choice, ground out.
Well, Telford has made 32 appearances. Total innings are only 35 and a third, so he has a rubber arm, as they say. He can come in and day out, but not pitch for very long.
Shane Spencer is a pinch runner for Paul O'Neill at third. He was just recalled, and Scott Brow, the pitcher the Yankees acquired from Arizona for Willie Banks, was reassigned to Columbus. Telford is behind in the count to Tino, 2-1. Every Yankee, except for Tino, has a hit in the ball game, and even El Duque has a sacrifice bunt. Tino watches it go low and inside. 3 balls and a strike. The Yankees in pretty good shape in making a bid to go 45-13 on the season. 45-13. Bouncing ball, nice play by Telford, and he throws it away. Martinez on his way to second. The Yankees get a bonus run.
Shane Spencer.
MSG is in stereo.
In stereo, yeah. Well, this was the easiest of plays. I mean, you work on it in spring training, makes the catch, plenty of time, then throws it in the dirt. Throws it by the first baseman Fulmer, all down the line, and the Yankees get another run. Wow.
58th error of the season for the Montreal Expos. And that's the way it is when you got a lot of kids learning how to play.
You man has seen the best of times and the worst of times here.
Line drive is scooped up off the bat of Chad Curtis, and the shortstop Grzelcyk throws it across for the second out.
Nice play by the shortstop Mark Grzelcyk, holding Bernie Williams at third base.
Now I'm going to assume that the substitution for O'Neill was just to give the veteran a break and that there's no other problem.
I would think so, with the score being now 10-0 as we look at the play. Grzelcyk, who sometimes has been disgruntled here in Montreal.
That's a lot of letters you just used.
Grzelcyk?
A disgruntled Grzelcyk.
Oh, okay.
Brocious with 2 home runs. He hit him in his first 2 at bats, hitting .333.
Oh. They're going to say that hit the bat and not Mr. Brocious. Fastball up and in.
Oh, it hit the knob of the bat.
Hit the knob of the bat.
And lucky for him it did. It's a half inch away from being something a lot worse. So it's an 0-2 count to Brocious.
Now with Brocious coming to the plate here in the 6th inning, the Yankees have sent 9 men to the plate.
They've done that a lot, haven't they?
The 16th time this season they've batted around.
Did he go? They go to the first base umpire, Terry Tata, who says no. So it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Over his last 55 at-bats prior to this game, Brocious was hitting .364. With the 2 home runs in this game, he's got to be up like .375. That gets the inside corner, and the inning is over. At least the Yankees half of it. But they put another big number on the board. 4 in this inning, and it's a 10-0 Yankee lead as the Expos will hit in the bottom of the 6th. New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by National Finance Corporation. Homeowners, lower your monthly payments. Apply by phone. Call 1-800-LOAN-NFC. We've got some replacements here. Homer Bush has taken over for Chuck Knobloch at second base. And out in right field, Shane Spencer, just called up from Columbus, takes over for Paul O'Neill. The Yankees have literally short-circuited the scoreboard in right field, Kenny, with their 10-run outburst. It's flickering and flashing, and it's not doing too good. And it's all for El Duque. first swing for El Duque goes into the seats.
Now, this is Mike Mordecai at the plate, and in the American League, you don't see double switches. But Felipe Alou, when he changed pitchers and brought Anthony Telford in the ball game, he put Mordecai in the 9th spot and put Telford in Andrews' spot.
Homer Bush watches that one sail by. So you switch the pitcher with the guy who made the out last inning, giving you the maximum amount of time to not have your pitcher come up to hit.
Exactly.
So Mike Mordecai makes his presence felt. Top of the order is F.P. Santangelo. He goes the Mo Vaughn route of helmet upkeep. He doesn't do any of it. It just gets grimier and dirtier and filled with pine tar and stuff.
Ozzie Guillen, he's in that he's in that club.
Those blue collar players, the guys who play it hard all the time, sometimes they lean towards that. Luis Sojo comes in with a word for El Duque. Here we are in the bottom of the 6th inning, and that's only the 2nd hit that he has allowed in the ball game. He allowed the hit back in the 1st inning and then pitched his way out with ease. Walked the leadoff man in the 2nd. The Yankees caught him stealing. Breaking pitch on the inside quarter and another beauty. Hit a 1-2-3 third, an amazing 4th, and now here is the third base runner to deal with. Carlos Perez against Orlando Hernandez. Perez only lasted 4, and the Yankees tagged him for 6 earned runs in the New York Marriott Marquis matchup.
Santangelo out of the University of Miami. They made it to the College World Series this year. They got knocked out by, well, they got knocked out. The eventual winner was USC.
In an exciting finish.
What, 21-14?
They had a huge 9th inning, didn't they?
That's like a football score for USC and Arizona State.
Oh, it's those aluminum bats. This is in the seats. Crowd was announced at 16,238. So give the Yankees credit for adding 6,000 to the Expos average, but it does look, I mean, we're no Big O experts here. You certainly are. It looks like more to me.
Well, there's nobody in the upper deck, first of all, and when they have their bigger crowds, you get people in the upper deck. You know, maybe on opening day, their biggest crowd was opening day. They had 31,000.
That's wide. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Explain the double switch while we have the box score up.
There's Telford now in the 8th spot. Mordecai batting in the 9th spot. So they had Mordecai lead off this inning with a base hit, and he's aboard.
Ground ball to Sojo. There's one, and not in time. Santangelo's a hustler, and he battled down the line.
Homer Bush in the middle of trying to turn this. Good throw from Sojo. Chest high. The relay to first. And Santangelo with his speed beats the relay. It looked like everything was all right, and Bush got rid of it quickly, but Santangelo hustling down the line. Jim Codd made a point that Homer Bush, he wasn't on the Yankees, and maybe a team like the Expos, he'd be playing.
Every day.
Yes, he would.
And the runner will advance as Girardi has to slide to stop the ball from getting any further away.
And years ago, when I got traded from the Mets to the Expos, I wasn't playing every day with the Mets, but when I came here, I got to play every day. As you see Joe Girardi chase the ball down. That's how you make a name for yourself, and eventually got traded to Baltimore and got to play on a good team.
You must have been happy that day.
Oh.
El Duque's pitch is a strike, 1-1. This is Jose Vidro, the Expos second baseman. So far in the game, he's singled and flied out. Hitting only .208 on the season. Santangelo's on at second. This is the first time the Expos have had a man in scoring position in the ball game. Is that right? Yeah, that would be correct.
No, they got Guerrero stole a base in the first inning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got the second.
I knew it seemed like a while ago. Pedro right back to El Duque. Checks the runner and goes to Martinez. And there are 2 away. Yankees will play 2 more here in Montreal. We're back with you tomorrow night. Then the WB11 guys have it on Thursday as we look at the Delta Airlines schedule. And then the first 3 of what are only 6 more games in the month of June. Friday on the WB11, Saturday is on Fox, and Sunday we're back with you on MSG. So now El Duque will face Vladimir Guerrero. Reached on a fielder's choice and grounded out. Hitting .306.
Thinking about getting into one of those 2-out stories. Maybe I should leave it alone.
No, go ahead. Live dangerously.
It's a little lengthy. Maybe I better save it. A little suspense never hurt anybody.
Oh, go ahead. I'm not a very patient guy. I can't wait.
You were talking about getting traded from Montreal to Baltimore?
No, you were.
No, yeah, I was.
Right.
But you said I must have been happy.
Yeah.
In a way I was, because I knew I was going to a good team. Or a better team than I was leaving. Foul ball, I have a chance now. So anyway, the phone rings. 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
The night before, I'd been out with Mike Torres. Went out to dinner. And Lee May had gotten traded from Houston to Baltimore, and Mike and I said, Baltimore's going to be really tough next year. Phone rings 5:30 the next morning.
You're in trouble now.
Okay, 5:30 the next morning, the phone rings.
Right.
It's Mike Torres. He says, Kenny, you guess what happened? I got traded to Baltimore. And I said, oh, Mike, oh, man, I'm really going to miss you. He says, no, you're going with me.
Oh, that's great.
He said the phone's going to ring in a minute. It's going to be Jim Fanning, the general manager, and he's going to tell you you're going to Baltimore. He said, act surprised. The phone rang 2 seconds after he hung up.
Look at this. Kenny Singleton living dangerously, because we have a rule at MSG. Never start a story with 2 outs. But he did it and survived. 10-0 Yankees as we head to the 7th. El Duque's only given up 2 hits to Montreal.
New York Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Hoover. Nobody gets the dirt like Hoover. Nobody. That is Duran Stovall playing center field now for the Montreal Expos. And left field looks like Ryan McGuire.
And that is Joe Girardi getting another hit in the ball game, and down the line he goes for more than 1. He goes for more than 2. Here's the relay from Guerrero, and Joe Girardi's got a leadoff triple. It's the second Yankee triple of the night. And the Yankees now have 13 hits in the game.
Well, Joe going the other way and down the line past the diving Fulmer and into the corner. Nice piece of hitting. Squares up, hits the ball the other way, and then he's off and running. Well, the Yankees they're relentless. You know, they just keep pouring it on and pouring it on. They don't give away at bats.
You know, in softball, the game would be over right now. 10-run rule. Good night. Thanks for coming. Here's Orlando El Duque Hernandez, struck out, grounded out, and delivered a perfect sac bunt for the Yankees that had him up and standing in appreciation. His was the second at bat, and it was the key to getting the inning going for the Yankees. They eventually sent 9 men to the plate for the 16th time this year.
He's trying for his first Major League RBI here.
1 ball and 1 strike. I would say he was lunging just a bit. So it's 1 and 2. Girardi has checked in with Willie Randolph.
You know, interestingly enough, the Expos are keeping the infield back, and I think it's to avoid a big inning. They want it out. They'll let him ground out to short. The run will score. They don't want to get him on with a cheap hit and keep this thing going.
Did he go? Yes, he did. So El Duque is struck out for a second time tonight. It's the second strikeout for Anthony Telfer.
Now, you mentioned about his hitting. The fact is he hadn't pitched in 2 years. You expect him to work on his hitting too?
It's a lot to work on.
Yeah, that is.
See Chris Chambliss offer a big smile on the bench. Now here's Homer Bush. Didn't play in the 3-game series with Florida. You have to go back to when the Yankees took on Chicago in the beginning of the month, and that was a pinch running appearance for Homer Bush, and they're really enjoying that El Duque at bat. And he looks like he's upset. Didn't get the job done.
Oh, man. It's the type of fun you can have when you're up 10-0.
And have a record of 44-13. A big flyer that Bush lays off of, and he's 1-2. Bush from East St. Louis.
Really enjoyed the game where his mom came to Kansas City and he had convinced her to stay one more day. Remember that? And he got to play.
And that'll get through, and it's a Homer Bush RBI. His first with the Yankees.
Well, Homer gets one by the infielders, just by Vidro at second. Man, the hitters love that. When the infielders reach for that ball, they can't quite get it. Makes up for those line drives you hit right at somebody.
So it saved the baseball for Homer Bush.
Well, he's already got a hit. You don't save him for your first RBI.
I would.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many more at-bats I'm getting this year if I'm Homer Bush. High ground ball. The Expos play for the force. Do not get the double play. Luis Sojo safe at first. So Sojo will get back to the bag. Homer Bush should receive a nice welcome in the Yankee dugout. It is now 11-0 New York.
It's nice the way everybody comes over, because here's a guy who does not play very often. Joe Torre comes over. He knows he's done something positive to help the ball club out. I give you a chance to get in the game, and you do something. That's how you get another chance later on.
And the thing about the Yankees, and we've talked about this a lot, when a guy goes down, there's always someone there to pick him up, a guy who's ready to play and compete and deliver, and here's another guy doing exactly that. With all that bench time, he comes up and drives in the run. Homer Bush makes it 11-0. Joe Girardi had tripled before him. It's the middle of the 7th in Montreal. New York Yankees is brought to you in part by American Express. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, American Express helps you do more. El Duque remains in there for Joe Torre's Yankees.
You know what the Yankees did by calling up Shane Spencer? When you have a National League ball game without the DH, the fact is that you have to make more changes in a ball game. You know, pinch hitting for the pitcher. Joe Torre, Don Zimmer have a lot of experience with National League type of baseball. Yankees now have 6 extra men. Shane Spencer added today. They take away a pitcher, add another extra man for that extra move that they might need with pinch hitters during the course of a ball game. And that's why usually during the course of a season, American League teams, when they're playing American League teams, they only have 5 extra men.
And they'll call up a pitcher in those extra situations.
They'll keep an extra pitcher.
The hitter's Brad Fulmer. Ground ball to Sojo. Scoops and fires. 1 out in the Expos half of the 7th. So the Expos, who brought a very glossy interleague record of 14-4 over the last 2 seasons, down big time here, 11-0. Here's Vladimir Guerrero, or rather, Daron Stovall, who took over for Rondell White in center field. This is like a spring training game all of a sudden.
Well, speaking of spring training, that's when the Expos acquired Duran Stovall from the St. Louis Cardinals. That was the spring of '95. Within 48 hours, then general manager Kevin Malone had to trade Ken Hill, John Wetland, and Marquise Grissom, and traded them all. They got Duran Stovall for Kenny Hill from St. Louis.
And he quickly is dispatched by El Duque with his 7th strikeout of the ball game. So he matches his first start's performance in the strikeout department. Steve Klein warming for the Spos.
And when you're forced to make trades like that, the other teams know what you're doing, and they won't give you equal value. So when you trade John Wetland to the Yankees, you trade Marquise Grissom to the Atlanta Braves, and you trade Ken Hill, one of your top starters the year before, to the Cardinals, you don't get that much in return.
You know, you could play the game. Yes, we're not drawing. Yes, we don't have the revenues, so we can't pay the players. What would it have been like had the Expos spent some money and kept the team together and were winning a ton of ball games with Randy Johnson and Jeff Facero and Marquise Grissom and John Wetland,
Larry Walker,
and Andres Galarraga and Mike Lansing and Moises Alou. I mean, that's an all-star team.
They would have won a heck of a lot more games, and I bet you a lot more people would have come to the ballpark. They could have put the ballpark in Quebec City. They still would have come. 30
years, and as you reminded me, only one postseason appearance in 30 years. And it comes at a time when you're trying to sell the city on a brand new ballpark downtown. Oh, El Duque gets his 8th strikeout. Girardi's got to throw because of the drop ball, but that's it. They're not liking it here in Montreal, but if they came to see the best team in baseball play like it, they got what they came for. 11-0 New York. Yankees with a big effort here tonight. A lot of home runs. 11-0 they lead Montreal. Meanwhile, the City Hawks are back at the Garden for more arena football action on Monday, June 15th and Friday, June 19th. Tickets start at just $10. Call 212-307-7171. The City Hawks against the Nashville Cats, and then the Grand Rapids Rampage.
Mike Mordecai has moved from third to short, and Scott Livingstone has taken over at third base.
The pitcher is not the Yankee who played in the early 70s. It's another Steve Klein. It's the Expos Steve Klein,
who had been the Cleveland Indians Steve Klein.
Line shot by Bernie Williams, played off the belly at second, and there's one out here in the Yankee 8th. Vidro to Fulmer, and that'll bring up Tino Martinez. Or actually, Dale Swaim, who replaced him last inning defensively. Dale's hitting only .135 and got a good workout this afternoon, playing some hoops in the Yankee clubhouse.
So he was ready.
He's ready. Joe Torre getting everybody in the ball game here tonight, except his bullpen pitchers. Those guys he hasn't needed. How about the efficiency of El Duque? He's thrown 98 pitches. How many were strikes?
63 of them. Wow. You got to figure he's going to go at least one more inning. Would you let him finish, depending on how the next inning goes?
Are you asking me if I would?
Yeah, you're the manager now.
Absolutely let him get a complete game. He's been bonding a lot with Joe Girardi, and that's a good guy to bond with.
I think they were pointing at the lineup and what they wanted to do next inning.
Swaim with a big swing. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Chris Chambliss making the adjustments to the lineup with the changes that have been made in the game. Swaim lays off the breaking ball, so it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. So you can't just be the hitting coach, you also have to have good penmanship. And that's a foul. Count holds at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Well, you can't write sloppy or guys can't read what you're writing.
Yeah, but
I mean, you got a guy like Grudzielanek on the other team. You've got to be printing properly.
Just put G-Man.
Swaim Punches it through the right side. So the Yankees, who've been inserted into the lineup, all getting a chance to contribute. Homer Bush with his first RBI. Dale Swain with the hit there with one away.
You know, I want to make a point that the Yankees have been rolling just about all season long. And with them playing so well, guys like Dale Swain, Luis Sojo weren't getting much of a chance to play. But now the Yankees have had a couple of injuries. Some of their bench players have gotten some extended playing time. Dale Swain and now Luis Sojo. And I think in the long run, might be a better team for him.
Curtis smokes one to deep center field. And it is caught by Stovall in center field. Boy, did he cover a lot of ground, and Chad Curtis hit that ball like so many of the Yankees have tonight, really, really hard.
I thought it had to sound when it left the bat, but something up there in the atmosphere slowed it down. It started out like it was going to go. And look at Chad. I think he thinks he got enough of it. But watch Stovall go back to the warning track. This tells you he's going to catch it. When he turns right here, throws those hands up, and that's it.
Now one of the hitting stars of the ball game for the Yankees, Scott Brocious. In his first two at-bats, he hit line drives over the wall and made a real close bid for a third consecutive home run, but it was called foul, and he then popped out. Now he goes to the opposite field, and it's in the glove of Guerrero, who flips it up for the fans. The Yankees retired here in the eighth. 11-0 New York. A couple of long fly balls. Steve Klein acknowledging the contribution of his outfielders. Montreal, Al Troutwig along with Ken Singleton. Mike Crispino's also with us. They'll be bringing you the Jeep and Eagle post-game report later on. And it's been all good for the Yankees here tonight. Orlando Hernandez, El Duque, has given up just 2 hits to an obviously undermanned Montreal Expos team, who sends Chris Widger to the plate. Widger .250 on the season. He's grounded to third and struck out. This will be the 99th, only the 99th pitch of the ball game for El Duque. And it's high out toward right. Shane Spencer, giving Paul O'Neill a break, grabs it for the first out. 1 pitch, 1 away. Now it's Scott Livingstone in at third base for Montreal, hitting only 167 on the season with 3 runs driven in.
There is not much on the bench for the Expos,
even when they're hitting.
Well, he's had a great touch on that breaking ball. I mean, all the angles he throws it, just about every time he can throw it either for a strike, or when he wants to throw it out of the zone, he can, to get them to chase it.
And you know, it's only going to get tougher for Joe Torre and the Yankees in terms of what are you going to do. Joe's going to get those questions again tonight. This guy obviously has got awesome stuff. Miguel Batista warms up for Montreal. And I know that he took on a Tampa Bay Devil Rays team, and it's an expansion team, but they had good veteran hitters. Now there are 2 away. Here he deals with the Montreal Expos with apparent ease. And the Yankees have 6 starters. So right now David Wells has that tendonitis problem in his shoulder. But obviously after the complete game performance Sunday, David Cohn is back on top of things. Mendoza's been on a roll. His last 2 performances have been of note.
Andy Pettit won his last game impressively. Hideki Irabu, you can't say enough about him.
Hitter's Mike Mordecai inserted in the 6th inning, and he singled. My guess, and this is just a guess, is that Ramiro will come out of the bullpen. That's my guess on how it gets solved. What about you?
You know, it's a shame in a way, because he's been pitching so well. And what will happen to him in the bullpen, the Yankee starters average more innings than any staff in the league. So that means his role will be drastically shortened.
And yet I will do that thinking that there's probably an injury or 2 down the road, little twinges and tweaks here and there where you're going to need an extra starter, and how nice it would be to be able to rely on Ramiro Mendoza. I mean, arguably, it's very, very difficult.
Yeah.
You're taking a guy who's clearly able to do the starting job and putting him into a situation where he's probably going to be used in weird situations when the team may be losing and so forth. But This could be purely one of those things. Listen, I'm paying this guy a lot of money, $6.6 million reportedly. He's the guy we want to see.
Now you're not managing, you're owning now.
I'm fanning.
Oh, okay.
In comes Swain. Another easy inning for El Duque. 3 Expos up, 3 Expos down. The Yankees carry their 11-0 lead into the 9th inning here at the Big O. New York Yankees baseball on MSG is brought to you in part by Heineken. Brewed true since 1886. Seek the truth. Something we all do. El Duque is on. Yes, he is. He is on his game. And on MSG tonight, he's pitched 8. Chatting with Jose Cardinal. We'll find out how Joe Torre handles El Duque. Does he give him a chance to pitch the 2-hit complete game? I vote yes. Yes, that he will.
I think you're going to get your wish. That is Mike Hubbard, who has taken over, former Cub, who's now doing the catching. And speaking of former Cub, it's Miguel Batista, who was with the Expos, went to the Cubs, back to the Expos. He was traded for Henry Rodriguez. Oh, Henry.
And El Duque's got the batting helmet on. And Joe's going to give him a shot at it. Boy, we've seen the whole Montreal Expos team tonight, haven't we?
I think they said something to El Duque as he was going up to hit, like maybe hit one out of here or something.
Joe Girardi at the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. Okay, so let's discuss this for a moment. Yankees certainly looking like they're going to win this ball game, up 11-0. If they win tonight, they will tie. Girardi fouls it off. The all-time American League record for most wins in a 53-game span, set by the 1941 Yankees, who won 44 of 53 games from June to August of that year. They are the only American League team to do that within a single season. If you consider streaks that overlap seasons, the only other American League team that won that many were the Yankees in 1927, carrying over to 28. Girardi is retired, 1 out, and here comes El Duque. He's been outstanding tonight. Only 2 hits and 1 walk allowed. At the plate, he has struck out twice, grounded out, and delivered a perfect sacrifice bunt. Stands way wide in the batter's box and has his right foot on the back of the box, so he's way back in the corner. It's one of his better swings so far that we've seen.
That was in his zone because it was on the inner half of the plate. He could reach it. You get it out to the outside corner. See, there's no chance.
Can't deal with it. So Batista strikes out Girardi and follows suit by striking out El Duque. And Don and Joe are enjoying this a lot. They're still figuring out what is this guy all about.
They're following to see his reaction after striking out.
And Orlando's mad. Zimmer's probably saying, oh, he thought he was going to come up here and hit 2. Being a great pitcher wasn't enough. He was going to hit 2. Now this team is really something. Homer Bush. He's going to have 2 hits. A hot shot single to center field for Homer Bush.
You know what's going to happen with Homer Bush when teams talk trade with the Yankees? His name's going to start coming up, because what they're going to see is a guy with excellent speed, good fielder. I mean, he's came into the game hitting .385. He was 5 for 13. Now 7 for 15 on the season.
You know what he's going to be? He's going to be Andy Fox. He's going to be a guy that's really good. I don't mean the same type of player, but I mean exposed to just the point where people will want him on their team. Here's Luis Sojo. Fouling off, strike one.
I mean, he's an intelligent young man, and you know, you can see that other teams are going to want this type of player. And I can see if the Yankees can get what they want in a deal where Homer Bush could go, and it might be to his advantage where he gets a chance to play.
And teams that value good guys in the clubhouse will pay even a little bit more for Homer Bush. Luis Sojo bonks one into center field. Luis has 4 hits in the ballgame. Derek Jeter won't have a job when he's ready to come back. And here's Shane Spencer looking for his first hit. Luis has 3 singles and a double.
Yeah, you won't hear the name Wally Pipp and Derek Jeter in the same sentence.
I couldn't have been more facetious. So 2 on for the Yankees, who already are up 11-0. Shane Spencer lofts one high. That's up near the roof level. Pulled down by Guerrero with one hand. So the Expos will get their final chance as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning on MSG. MSG's coverage of Yankees baseball is brought to you in part by Nissan, who remind you that life is a journey. Enjoy the ride. It's fun when our advertisers are philosophical. Well, here's El Duque moving into the 9th inning, looking for his first ever complete game and only his 2nd appearance as a member of the New York Yankees. And he has done it with marvelous precision and outstanding control. In front of 16,000 and change here at the Big O in Montreal. He'll face F.P. Santangelo first. Oh, no, that's not him.
That looks like Ryan McGuire.
Yes, it is Ryan McGuire. And he fouls it off. 1 ball and 1 strike. So, Kenny, how would you summarize what you've seen from El Duque here in round 2?
In round 2, it's been just as impressive, maybe even more so than round 1. Excellent control, particularly of his breaking ball. Like that.
Wow.
And he seems to be just toying with these guys. I mean, you have a young, inexperienced ball club in the Expos. A lot of hitters who go up there hitting, trying to make something happen. See, he just teased him, trying to make him swing at that one, too. The Yankees have gotten an experienced pitcher. Somebody who knows how to pitch. Has a good feel for what hitters are trying to do. How to move the ball around and get them out.
High fly out toward left fielder Chad Curtis, and he pulls it down. 1 out. Yankees will play a couple of more here in Montreal. Then this weekend they've got 3 games slated for the Cleveland Indians on Friday night, Saturday afternoon, and Sunday afternoon. Saturday afternoon is Yankee Helmet Bank Day. Sunday is the 1928 World Series Pin Day. Tickets are available through Ticketmaster at 212-307-1212 at Yankee Stadium, of course, and at their website, Yankees.com. That's a strike. He's gotten a lot of those pitchers' friends tonight. Strike 1 on Jose Vidro. Vidro has only 1 of the 2 hits allowed by El Duque. And he's going to have a second. He dumps this one into the corner that rolls around for a waiting Chad Curtis. And the Expos will have a runner in scoring position with 1 out here in the 9th.
It's only their 5th base runner of the night. And it's Jose Vidro, who Felipe Alou feels will mature into an outstanding second baseman that will be able to help this team for years to come as we watch Curtis chase down the 2 base hit. First extra base hit for the Expos tonight.
Now it's up to Vladimir Guerrero. He's had an 0-for evening, reaching on a fielder's choice, grounding out and flying out. Hitting .305.
Feeling by the Expos is when Guerrero learns the strike zone, he'll be a much better hitter. Right now, he came into the game hitting at .309. But he swings at everything. He doesn't let many pitches pass. He's only walked 11 times.
This is going to drop in. And the Expos are going to end the shutout. The run of zeros on the board is over here in the ninth. So it's 11-1. Jose Vidro solved El Duque twice tonight, and it finally puts Montreal on the board. The hitter is another pretty good hitter in Brad Fulmer.
You know, from a pitcher standpoint, you want that shutout. Made a pretty good pitch. It actually jammed Guerrero.
You know, complete game shutout's got a nice sort of sexy sound to it. But for a guy pitching only his second game, complete game has a real good ring to it, too. Runner on first with one out here in the ninth. No balls and 2 strikes now on Brad Fulmer.
Fulmer was a former second-round draft pick by the Expos. It took him a long time to sign. He had a chance to go to Stanford University, and the Expos offered him pretty good money, and he decided to turn pro instead. Great numbers in the minor leagues.
And he got him swinging. Played a second on the advancing Guerrero. Is late. But Fulmer has struck out, and that is the 9th strikeout of the ball game for Orlando Hernandez.
Now here's a look at the pitch, and another one of the assortment of breaking balls, and well, just a swing and a weak swing and a miss at that. See the hand come off the bat, the helicopter swing, really had him out in front.
Now it's Stovall who came in to play center field. Stovall was struck out in his only prior at bat, and it was a quick experience. And Girardi and El Duque with a quick get together. Coming up, following the post-game report, Bill Daughtry anchors our report from the MSG Sports Desk. And then from that big studio in California, Fox Sports News at midnight here on MSG.
Now what they were talking about was the runner on second now, and the signs changed. They haven't had many opportunities to talk about that tonight.
Doesn't get that pitch, so it's 2 balls and no strikes. A lot to like from what Joe Torre's Yankees did on the field here tonight. Start with El Duque and go to Scott Brocious with his 2 home runs, and Bernie's big game, and Luis Sojo's 4 hits. Strike 1, 2-1. A triple and a single for Chad Curtis. Chuck Knobloch getting on base 4 times and then replaced by Homer Bush, who singled twice more. And there for strike 2. El Duque is 1 strike away from his first ever American Major League complete game. And all the Yankee fans that are here, and there are a lot, have gotten on their feet for this newest of Yankees, who has made the most remarkable impression.
A big Yankee banner being waved beyond the Yankee dugout in left field.
And they're making a lot of noise here in the Big O. The 2-2. Right back to El Duque. He throws to Dale Swain, and there it is. His first complete game. And it came in dominating fashion in all ways for the Yankees as they beat Montreal 11-1. And congratulations all around from Jorge Posada, whose foot is okay, and from all the Yankees, who are much better than that. They're doing great. The Yankees record is now 45-13 32 games above 500. And in this game, you just have to feel for the Expos, who know that they just don't have the artillery to compete.
Well, the Yankees not only getting the great pitching performance from El Duque for his second straight victory, but pounding out 17 hits in the ball game. Guys coming off the bench, picking up the regulars late in the ball game. They continue the onslaught with the swinging of the bats. Joe Torre and his crew, well, they got a leg up on winning yet another series. They haven't lost one since the first week of the season.
And the Yankees starting pitching continues to be extraordinary. Back-to-back complete games. Cone on Sunday, El Duque here at the Big O in Montreal, where with this final out, he puts the complete game in the books and a Yankee 11-1 win. Here in Montreal, the Yankees have wrapped up a convincing 11-1 win over the Montreal Expos. El Duque goes the distance. He's now a perfect 2-0. Carlos Perez lasted only 4 innings. The Yankees pound him out of the ball game. He loses as Bernie Williams and Scott Brocious deliver the power. For Brocious, it came in his first 2 at-bats. The Yankees have 44 wins in their last 53 games. That ties their own American League record for a 53-game stretch. And Luis Sojo had 4 hits. And in perfect synergy, we send it down to Mike Crispino, who talks to the Yankees shortstop.
Well, thank you, Al Trotwick. As you see, the Yankees have won 44 of 53. He's had 5 hits in a game twice before, so this is nothing special to you. Am I right?
Tonight it was, being struggling lately. And to get 4 hits today, help the team to win. It's kind of a special day, and I just hope to, keep swinging like that and help the team to win some games.
Good news for you. You start out at 176. You're now hitting 250. You can really balloon the batting average. Tell me about, though, for you not getting a lot of at-bats and stepping in now for Derek Jeter. Did you feel comfortable? I know the first at-bat looked not like Luis Sojo, but then as you got into the second, third, and fourth at-bats, you looked more comfortable up there.
Yeah, it's tough to play like that, Get off the bench and try to get, some ABs, and you're not going to get 4 hits in the game. I mean, the first AB, I just tried to pull everything. So Chris Chambly talked to me, and man, it's not you. You got to go, opposite way. And I just tried to hit the ball up the middle, and that's what good for me tonight.
That time you pulled it, and you got it over the left fielder's head, scoring Chuck Knobloch, who was on base 4 times again for your team tonight. Now, defensively, shortstop we all know is your favorite position, but you can play any one of all 4 of them in the infield. Now, playing for Derek Jeter, what kind of adjustments do you have to make going to short when you've been playing mostly second with the Yankees?
Well, in my career as a big league, I just play second base. I play sometimes shortstop, but that's what I feel comfortable. No doubt about it. That's what I play in Venezuela, winter ball. I play shortstop. But I just got to go out there, try to. They just wanted me to get the ground balls, make the plays, double plays and stuff, and I'll be happy, to do my job and try to get some hits too.
Are you amazed at the way this team's playing? It seems like every night bats are going. Now you get El Duque comes out and pitches a complete game.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, when you got this kind of team, every time we get to the locker room every day, we know we're going to win the game, no matter what the result is after the game. But that's the confidence that we have, that's amazing. I mean, I've never been in a team before, and you just got to keep enjoying, try to, keep winning.
And they have tremendous depth. Witness this man, Luis Sojo, with 4 hits tonight as the Yankees rout the Montreal Expos 11-1. And yes, the Yankees have support around not only American League, but the National League. It's the Luis Sojo fan club. They've stayed around for the post-game report. We'll go back to New York now. Standing by at the MSG Sports Desk. We'll return for more of the post-game report. But first, here's Bill Daughtry.
Thanks, Mike Crispino. I don't know how you send that guy back to the minors. Hideo Nomo nowhere near the excellence of El Duque tonight. Nomo out at Shea Stadium. His first outing as a Met, not a good one. The ball game now in the bottom of the 7th inning, all tied up at 4-4. I guess no loss for Nomo. Brian Bohannon on to pitch now for the New York Mets in the 7th. Also going on game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, Detroit out with a 2-1 lead. That's against the challenging Washington Capitals. That game now late in the 2nd period at Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. Best of 7, game 1 just underway tonight. And Corey Miller of the New York Giants, he's a bit unhappy with his contract situation, but nonetheless he is in camp. Giants opening a 2-week mini camp today. We'll hear more from Corey Miller tonight on our late show at 10:30. We'll be back at the Sports Desk with more right after these commercial messages.
New York Yankees baseball on.
Show after New York Yankee post-game coverage. Of course, we'll have the latest on Hideo Nomo, talk more about El Duque. We'll even take a look at what Dwight Gooden did tonight out in Cleveland and the PSAL New York City High School Championship all tonight. We'll go back to Montreal after this.
Yankees, already the best team in baseball, are one win better, 11-1, decisively over the Montreal Expos, the first of three in this interleague play with Montreal. Orlando Hernandez, El Duque gets the win and goes the complete game route, allowing just 4 hits and the run coming in the bottom of the 9th inning. Al Troutwick back with Ken Singleton as the Yankees move toward what could be a record-setting season. Now, there was no MSG in 1927 or 19...
There's plenty of sluggers for pitchers to fear.
The way they've gotten off this season, but I think one thing we have seen, Al, they are really deep. They can really make things happen. When Tino Martinez was out with that injury, the Yankees continued to win. Derek Jeter goes out, and Luis Sojo gets 4 hits tonight. And Scott Brocious, who they picked up in a deal from the Oakland A's, has been wondrous. Not only defensively, his offense has come to life once again. Tonight he hit a home run. That got the Yankees started in the 2nd inning. His very next at-bat was in the 4th inning, and he does it again. 10th time in his career he's hit 2 home runs or more in a ball game. And this is a guy who usually bats from the 7th spot down in the lineup. Of course, with the pitcher hitting here in the National League, he will not hit 9th here in Montreal, but he has done that during the course of the season. And here's a guy who has, 38 RBIs now, closing in on 40. If he continues at this pace, he'll certainly have over 90 runs batted in for the season, and a guy who usually bats from the 7th spot on. That shows you how awesome not only that part of the lineup is, but how awesome the rest of the lineup is, and that's why we're going to be using superlatives about this Yankee team, it looks like, for the remainder of the season.
Now, Mike Crispino and Michael Kay will talk at length about El Duque's complete game performance. He does one better from his debut last week against Tampa Bay. How about tomorrow night? The Yankees starting pitching is, of course, one of the things that carries the club, and it's Hideki Irabu who still has that glossy ERA going tomorrow night.
A little bit different look for these Expos hitters. They're young hitters, and they're very aggressive, but they're going to see a little bit more power tomorrow night with Hideki Irabu, who's been clocked as high as 97 miles an hour, has a tremendous splitter, has gained a curveball this year, holds runners a lot better, has become more of a complete pitcher. That's why he's 5-1 and has the best ERA in the major leagues. And it's like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. I think that's what you can say about these two ball clubs. The Yankees go out and get pitchers like Hideki Irabu from Japan, and El Duque comes over in a raft from Cuba. They join the Yankees, and it looks like they both are the real deal, and the money has been well spent, something that a team like the Montreal Expos cannot even comprehend.
Well, we'll be back with you tomorrow on MSG. The Yankees win a big one here tonight, and I mean big when I mean the final score is 11-1. El Duque is now 2-0. Carlos Perez has his 6-game winning streak stopped. He's now 6-4 on the season. Mike Crispino will be along to carry you through the Jeep and Eagle post-game report that's coming up on MSG. That'll be followed by the report from the Sports Desk and Fox Sports News at midnight. We will see you tomorrow as Hideki Irabu takes the mound for the Yankees. The New York City Marriott's Yankee Scorecard begins our coverage at 6:30 here on MSG from Montreal. Bernie Williams started it all with a monstrous moonshot that flirted with hitting the roof here at the Big O. It was out and the Expos were done. Brocious then stepped to the plate with a man on, and he sent it gone. It was all a matter of frustration for starter Carlos Perez. Meanwhile, El Duque settled in early and never bent. Only 4 hits the Expos got off of him today, and he continues to spot with fabulous control and a big break for the pitches that he throws. With Ken Singleton, I'm Al Troutwick. Bill Webb directed it. Leon Schweier produced it, and Mike McCarthy's our executive producer. Good night, everybody.
New York Yankees baseball has been brought to you by The Dime, the bank that's with you all the way. By the 68,000 professionals at Delta Airlines. By the Discover Card. By your Tri-State GMC dealers, comfortably in command. And by Nobody Beats the Wiz Home Entertainment Center.
Everybody's smiling thanks to Nobody Beats the Wiz and their huge selection of camcorders with LCD screens, digital stabilization, and stereo sound from Sony, Panasonic, Sharp, and more, starting at $399. And for the latest in cameras, smile, because there's autofocus, flash, zoom, and easy load from Minolta, Canon, Fuji, and more. Now use the Wiz Privilege Plus card and get 90 days with no money down, no interest, no payments, and no minimum purchase. Smile at Nobody Beats the Wiz, a Cablevision company.
It's amazing what some people will do to save a little money.
Found it! What a piece of work.
Yet with one call to Geico, you could save 15% or more on car insurance. And considering the alternatives, making a phone call is pretty simple.
Amateur.
Geico Direct. A 15-minute call could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
And now Woodstock will attempt a reverse 3.5 in tuck position.
When you take the plunge into home ownership, marriage, parenthood, retirement, or anything big and important, ask your MetLife rep to help you plan the right financial protection. Get Met. It pays.
When you ship with Priority Mail, it's a great way to save money. But what about other parts of the world? There's Global Priority Mail. And here's the best part. Give us a few days more, and you can save up to 70% over FedEx or UPS. So, what's your global priority? Try Global Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
Oh, well. There's always tomorrow.
Save your non-winning scratcher tickets for a chance to win a dream trip to Universal Studios Florida for you and your family. The only place on earth where you can ride the movies.
What are you doing?
The winners fly U.S. Airways. See the back of your ticket for details.
I might have a ticket to Universal in here.
Scratchers. It's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game.
It's the Tri-State Jeep and Eagle post-game report brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep. It's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. The Yankee juggernaut continues to roll north, south, east, and west tonight. North of the border in Montreal at the Big O Olympic Stadium, 11-1 in a 17-hit attack. 2 home runs from Scott Brocious, another from Bernie Williams, 4 hits from Luis Sojo, and El Duque is 2-0 for the 6th time in 30 years. A Yankee pitcher has won his debut and won start number 2. Orlando Hernandez, a 4-hitter tonight, striking out 9 as the Yankees win at 11-1 to open up the 3-game series. Mike Crispino with you for the post-game report. Mel Stottlemyre, by the way, back in 1964, was a Yankee who won 3 straight starts to start his Yankee career. Hernandez will have that chance most likely in his next start. Let's take a look at the highlights. The Yankees started early. They scored often. Once again, they sent 9 men to the plate in an inning. That in the 6th to score 4. The highlights brought to you by Discover Card. We call it the playback payback. And the Yankees paying back Montreal a little bit for last year, losing the series 2-1 at the stadium. Tim Raines back in Montreal. First time in 8 years since being a member of the Expos. And he saw Bernie Williams in the 2nd inning off Carlos Perez hit his 10th home run of the year. 10 homers and 99 at-bats for Bernie after going 0 for 119. Scott Brocious then ripped one to left, a 2-run homer, his 4th of the year, and the Yankees had a 3-0 lead. To the 4th we go off Carlos Perez once again. Brocious strikes again, his 5th of the year, a 5-0 Yankee lead. Still in the 4th, Luis Sojo drills a double to left. Now, you heard him talk to me moments ago about going with the pitch. This time he pulled it, got it over the outfielder's head. That allowed Chuck Knobloch to score. Knobloch was on 4 times tonight, scored 3 runs, and the Yankees led 6-0. Meanwhile, El Duque rolling along. He retired 6 straight twice, ended up striking out 9, allowed just 2 hits through 8 innings, and a sizable Yankee contingent, a Cuban contingent on hand at Olympic Stadium to watch El Duque. Paul O'Neill now has 49 runs batted in. He singled 2 in the 6th, and the Yankees had an 8-0 lead en route to the 11-1 victory. Montreal touched up El Duque for a run in the 9th, but he got the final out, and he got it easily in a superlative effort by Orlando Hernandez. A 4-hit complete game for Hernandez as the Yankees win 11-1. The congratulations from Joe Girardi. We'll be back with more, but first let's go back to Manhattan and the sports desk.
Thanks, Mike Crispino. The New York Mets sent Hideo Nomo, to the mound tonight out at Shea Stadium, and Nomo did not get it done. The Mets, by the way, they're still struggling, though, against Tampa Bay, that ball game in the 8th. It's all tied up at 4-4. The Boston Red Sox determined not to let another one slip away. They're down in Atlanta tonight. They ruined Denny Martinez's try, career win number 244. At least they're in front at this point. 8-3, Boston leads that ball game again in the 8th inning. Checking the rest of the interleague scoreboard tonight, it was Pittsburgh over Cleveland and Doc Gooden 7-4. Florida with a 5-4 victory over Toronto. Moving to those Central Division matchups, it was Houston beating Detroit 5-3. Philadelphia in the Eastern leading Baltimore 2-0 that ball game in the 7th. At Comiskey Park in Chicago, Mark McGwire making a strong stab for his 30th home run, but the stab here is going to be made by Mike Cameron. Watch him go up and over the wall, and number 24 pulls it in, robbing McGwire of number 30. The Chicago White Sox trailing St. Louis in the 7th inning, as you see there, 4-3. Elsewhere, Kansas City leading Milwaukee 3-1. That ball game in the 8th inning. Johnny Damon with a home run there. Minnesota has the Cubs' 10-game winning streak. Well, they've got it in the clutches. It's 6-0 Minnesota at the Metrodome in the 6th inning. Texas and Colorado, they're all tied up at 1-1 in the 4th. Will Clark with his 10th home run of the year in that ball game. More late starts, interleague starts for you tonight. Anaheim going against Arizona. That ball game just underway at Bank One Ballpark. We'll be back here at the sports desk after our Yankee post-game coverage. We'll go back to Montreal for more of that following these commercial messages.
You are watching the Jeep and Eagle post-game report, brought to you by your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
The most award-winning brand of 4x4s has done it again. Presenting Jeep Grand Cherokee, just named Best Sport Utility. And now you can lease the leader with a special $319 a month leadership lease or get 1.9% financing. Grand Cherokee, highest in owner loyalty, and now named Best Sport Utility. No wonder year after year, Grand Cherokee always winds up on top. Check out this $319 lease at your dealer.
Look what you remote control and Q sound for 3D enhancement. Call 1-800-BUY-IOWA.
The Yankees win it by a final of 11-1. 17 hits tonight, 7 extra base hits. Orlando Hernandez goes to 2-0. And the Yankees have won 44 out of 53 games, an incredible run for them. 19 of 23 away from Yankee Stadium. They're the best team in baseball, the best home team, and the best road team. And tonight, Joe Torre had another ace on the mound, El Duque.
That's pretty interesting. He, had kept his stuff. His stuff was consistent. His command, may have been better than last time. He has a lot of stuff that he takes to that mound that he doesn't necessarily show you in the bullpen.
Now, how about the question on whether he stays in the rotation? I mean, does this help you answer it?
Well, obviously we're curious and we want to see him again. There's no question. And we're going to have to work it out. However we work it out, we're going to have to do it. And I don't have an answer tonight, but for sure it gives us something to chew on.
Devil's advocate, is he this good against a very, very good team?
Well, hopefully we're going to find this out. Team, the thing you see from the side is his location. And I really don't, I'm not saying that, a Cleveland or a Baltimore, or, clubs like that or the Braves won't have more success than Montreal did tonight. But he still makes pitches, which, you're curious, I'm curious, and, we'll see some more of him.
You remarked in spring training what a good athlete he is. Did he show you that more tonight?
Yeah, he was a little disappointed in his hitting, but I was happy with the bunt. I mean, Andrews come in standing on his foot there at third base, and he bunted down the first baseline. So he does a lot of things. He bounces around on the mound very, very well. But I was just happy the way he kept his stuff tonight.
Joe Torre on El Duque. Orlando Hernandez, who won't turn 29 until October, could be pitching in the World Series. Who knows? Terrific twos. These other Yankees in the last 30 years have won their debuts and start number 2. Scott Nielsen, Scott Kamenicki now with the Orioles, Militello, Irabu did it last year, and now Orlando Hernandez here in 1998. And the starting pitching has been tremendous for the Yankees in the last 8 games. 7-0, an ERA of 1.57, and everyone knows pitching wins championships. Pitching, defense, and the kind of hitting the Yankees have had recently. Look at that. 3rd complete game now by the Yankee pitching staff in this last 8-game stretch in which the Yankees have now won 8 in a row. 11-1 again was the final tonight here at Olympic Stadium. Time for the Clubhouse Report, brought to you by New York Marriott Marquis. It is Broadway's biggest hit, and that, of course, means that Michael Kay has returned from the Yankee clubhouse, and it's just amazing night in and night out. You just run out of superlatives to talk about this team. Now another gun in Joe Torre's arsenal in the person of El Duque, who was just tremendous tonight.
It really makes for a very tough decision for the Yankees, and it's a decision they're going to have to make shortly, because if David Wells is okay, and we'll know that tomorrow, I just spoke to him moments ago, and he said that his shoulder feels okay by not throwing, but now he throws tomorrow on the side. If he feels okay, he starts Saturday or Sunday, and then David Cone will start Saturday or Sunday as well. And Orlando Hernandez, well, how does he fit in? Because Ramiro Mendoza will start on Friday. I think after 2 starts like this, he's here to stay.
What a luxury for Joe Torre. He's got Hernandez to go to if Wells or Cone break down at any point in the season. He struck out 9, as I mentioned, gave up just 4 hits. Mike only walked 1, and he hit a batter. He had great control.
I think that's the thing that's important with him. He throws a fastball 88, 89, and the thing that's impressive with him is he spots. He goes on the corner. He has a breaking ball that he throws for strikes. He throws all of his pitches for strikes. He throws them at different arm angles. I actually asked Posada, was he better this time than he was in the 1 run he gave up in the 7 innings in his first start? He said, yeah. He said he had better command and had a little more zip on the fastball. He said what's really interesting about this is that this guy's doing this without knowing the hitters at all, totally depending on the catcher. Now, this guy is a very good pitcher. Once he learns the hitters, he's going to be even tougher.
And the incredible thing about him is he hadn't really pitched against competition in, what, a year and a half or so. He got great control, but a lot of pitching and beating a hitter is deception. I think that's what he does best, with all the arm angles and the change of speeds. Hitters never seem to be comfortable in a batter's box against him.
No, it keeps him off balance, and that's important, and that's what veteran pitchers do. You know, he's a rookie up in the big leagues, but he's pitched a lot of ball games. The one thing, though, still gnawing at him is the fact that his children are back in Cuba. He has 2 daughters back in Cuba, 2 years old and 7, and when he came off the mound and walked into the clubhouse, he was sobbing, and Joe Torre was very concerned about that, and he asked Jose Cardinal what's going on. So Cardinal went in and he asked him. He said he cries every time he wins because he thinks about his daughters.
Yeah, our cameras are still inside the Yankee clubhouse. We hope to hear from El Duque for tomorrow's Yankee scorecard show. We did hear from Scott Brocious. 2 home runs tonight. 10 times he's done it in his career. Here's Brocious just moments ago.
First 2 times up, 2 home runs. You thinking home run the 3rd time?
Well, I don't know. I just first couple of bats, I was just seeing the ball so good up there. The 3rd at bat was the same way. You know, it was just before it got dark for some reason, it just the background or something here. I felt like I seen the ball pretty good.
Are you swinging the bat as well as you ever swung it?
That's hard to say. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm doing a good job of pretty much every at bat, giving myself a chance up there and putting good swings on and a good approach, and the results just kind of let those take care of themselves.
What was your take on El Duque?
Again, I mean, he threw great. Same thing we saw first time. Great poise, throwing every pitch for strikes, and threw a great game.
You realize that in 3 RBIs you would have equaled your whole total for last year?
Well, last year's, again, I try not to think about that, but that doesn't say much for last year, that's for sure.
8 in a row, and this team now 32 games over 500. I mean, do you guys even realize what you're doing?
No, again, I think that's been the strength of our team, is the fact that we're not worried about what we did yesterday or tomorrow. We're just trying to focus on winning each game, and that's been the strength of us.
How about that for depth? Scott Brocious, a 204 hitter in Oakland last year with 40 runs batted in. Mike's got 37. And with this lineup, I mean, there's no holes in this lineup. And if you get through 1 through 6, then you've got to face Brocious.
Well, it's interesting. In National League ballparks, there is a little bit of a hole because you lose your DH. but otherwise this is a circular lineup. You could lead off with anybody, and the fourth batter up in that inning could be the cleanup batter. But Brocious right now is the best third baseman in the American League, average-wise and defensively. He should be in the All-Star game. He will not win the vote over Ripken. It'll be interesting to see if Mike Hargrove selects him.
And what about the depth overall of this team? Luis Sojo steps in tonight, gets a few at-bats, and only comes up with 4 hits in replacing Derek Jeter.
It's amazing, and Derek Jeter said when I walked into the clubhouse, he said, they don't need me anymore. They don't need me. And right now, without Derek Jeter and Tino Martinez, hard to believe the team is 14-1 without either of those guys in the lineup.
The Yankees are chasing the Chicago Cubs of 1906, who won 116 games, 36 losses. We'll be back to talk about the chances of them perhaps catching them and setting a new all-time best regular season record when we return with more of the Yankee postgame report on MSG.
Jeep and Eagle dealer. There's only one Jeep, and it's only at your Tri-State Jeep and Eagle dealer.
The 1941 Yankees won 44-53. Now the 98 edition is up to the same old tricks. They beat Montreal 11-1 to open up this 3-game set here on MSG. And the Yankees will have 2 more against the Expos. The next 2 nights we'll be with you, of course, on MSG tomorrow night. The White Sox, Yanks took them 2 of 2. The Devil Rays as well. Then they swept the Marlins. And now they've beaten the Expos in this 8-game winning streak. But, Mike, we all know it's a long baseball season, 162 games. The Yankees have 104 remaining. There are going to be some tough parts of the schedule. There are going to be some slumps. There are going to be some tough times, although the Yankees haven't hit one yet. The upcoming couple of weeks will be very interesting to gauge this Yankee team's greatness.
Well, I think you could gauge greatness also playing a soft schedule, as that just said over there. But the important thing is they had 10 games on that stretch where you said they should play 700 ball. You can't ask a team to play more than 700. Well, they're 8-0 in the first 8 games. Now, if they split the next 2 against the Expos, they've gone 9-1 against teams they should be. And good teams sometimes don't do that because they let up. Now, after the Expo game on Thursday, then they run into a stretch of 17 games against very good teams. And we'll see how they do in those 17 games. You've got games against the Indians, 7 of those. You have 3 against the Orioles, 4 against the Braves, and then 3 against the Mets. Now, if you take, say, 11 of those 17, then you could be looking at a record-breaking season. Right now, it's been that so far. But if they go up against the best teams in baseball and they can hammer them, that really tells you this is a special season happening.
And the Yankees do not let up. Tonight, Mike went in the clubhouse and couldn't find very many of the players. Where were they, Mike? Lifting weights, maybe?
Lifting weights. That's all they do. They're not content with a win. They want to be ready for tomorrow and a couple of weeks after.
All right, quick note tomorrow. Hideki Irabu will pitch here. A different look, certainly a power pitcher after El Duque kind of fooled him a little bit. What do you think the Expos are in store for tomorrow night?
Well, I think he's pitched great, and I don't think we should expect anything else other than another great performance. The Yankees face a better pitcher as well. You know, Carlos Perez had good numbers, but Dustin Hermanson has much better stuff, throws a lot harder. It should be a great matchup between Hermanson and Irabu.
And in the final game of the series, we may get to see Carl Bavano, the man who came here for Pedro Martinez from the Boston Red Sox. So once again, Yankee pitching. Didn't even have to see the bullpen tonight. Bullpen's well rested.
You know, that's one thing that you could look at as a positive, and then you could say it's a negative as well, because 3 of the last 4 games have been complete games. Mariano Rivera pitched that 1 game over the weekend. All of a sudden, everybody in the bullpen's rested. Now they come out, they could be rusty. So, you know, half of a dozen of another, and it's a tough call. You want to get the bullpen in, but if a guy deserves a complete game, you let him get a complete game.
Certainly tonight, Orlando Hernandez did. Thanks to Michael Kay and the Clubhouse Report every night following MSG Yankee baseball. 11-1 was the final. Carlos Perez had a 6-game winning streak coming in. That is history. El Duque wins his 2nd in a row. Tomorrow we'll be with you at 6:30 from the Big O in Montreal Olympic Stadium. The Yankees and the Expos here on MSG. Game time 7 o'clock. Coming up next, the MSG Sports Desk, the half-hour report, New York sports, followed by Fox Sports News from Los Angeles. That begins at 12 midnight. It was a night for a couple of guys, a couple of friends to take a rest. Jorge Posada with the sore ankle, and of course Derek Jeter on the DL. And what they saw was mastery from this man, Orlando Hernandez. The Cuban sensation El Duque, 2 hits through 8 innings, 4 on the night. 2 homers for Scott Brocious, 10th time he's done that in his career. And it was El Duque and the Yankees winning big 11-1. For our producer, Leon Schweier, our director, Bill Webb, our executive producer, Mike McCarthy, this is Mike Crispino. Good night from Montreal.
It's